Testing has begun over at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Today, though, on the field, it's going to be the defensive linemen and linebackers that get us underway. TV coverage going to start any minute now at 3 p.m. Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, though, will not be taking part in this testing due to a hamstring strain that popped up during a medical evaluation, while Penn State's Abdul Carter will not have surgery after initial reports said that he would due to a small stress reaction on his foot. The Chiefs are placing the franchise tag on guard Trey Smith. It's now going to see him at a one-year, $23.4 million deal that is fully guaranteed, but multiple reports have the Chiefs hoping to get a long-term deal done with Smith. To Cleveland, where reports out of Cleveland.com have Myles Garrett unwilling to negotiate a contract extension with his current team, and that his agent has, quote, slammed the door shut on any discussions. And we do have officially the 2025 salary cap, and it will be $279.2 million. Over in hockey, it is Sabres game night. Buffalo continue their potential climb back into an Eastern Conference playoff race. Tonight they are on the road versus Carolina. Pregame getting underway at 6 with puck drop at 7. One note for the Sabres, Jason Zucker questionable for tonight. He was not at optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, all signs appear to be Sam Lafferty who will draw into the lineup. Also, for Carolina, it is Whalers night tonight. And around the NHL, it is a busy evening. 11 other games on the schedule. Some notables. Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town. Both games at 7. Flyers are in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins at 7:30. And then your night will round out with 2 games at 10. Ducks host Vancouver, and Vegas has Chicago in town. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Schopp and the Bulldog.
They have this Panther sound effect that is just the cheesiest, stupidest sounding thing. Big voice guy going, Panther goal scored by Sam Reinhart. Where'd you get that thing?
I trapped it. Been keeping it in my bathroom at the motel, feeding it old pizza.
It's Mike Schopp.
If you're calm, that wondrous big cat will be calm too. But if you're scared, that beautiful death machine will do what God made it to do, namely, eat you with a smile on its face.
And the Bulldog. On WGR Sports Radio 550.
So yesterday, organically, it should have cost extra, like organic meats and vegetables do in the store.
Mm-hmm.
It came up, what's the thing your favorite team did that you hated the most ever? And, we sat with that. We talked through it. The Bills in the Toronto series. The Sabres in like 20 things.
Right.
If it were the Braves, I'm not sure the show has ever sounded older, but if we ever got to the Braves, it would have been, what's your answer? Just don't think about it. Don't try too hard here. What's the thing the Braves did, the NBA's Buffalo Braves did, that you would have hated the most about them, from them?
Should we avoid them leaving?
No. That would be it.
Yeah, I mean,
leaving would be it.
Leaving is the default setting. I did think of something else very quickly.
About the Braves?
Yes, that they acquired the great Hall of Famer Moses Malone.
Oh,
and
R.I.P.
he sat on the bench for one game and then was moved along. I think that's how the story goes. Moses Malone was a Brave, but they
technically,
yeah, right. Well, I mean, he had a warm-up suit and everything. I don't know about a uniform underneath the warm, but I think he sat there in those sweats that you could pull off, or maybe it was too early.
Love those.
Maybe it was too early for those. I'm not sure if they had those tearaway.
I have those.
Pants yet.
I have those for special occasions.
Those are the best.
Just for Valentine's Day. So the buttons up and down the outside of the pant legs?
I've had Levi's custom made like that.
Okay. Right? Just sort of you rip them off?
Yeah.
What a crowd pleaser.
Right. So like that would rate, I think, aside from them leaving. But them leaving kind of beats all.
Leaving would be number one.
It's a hard one to beat.
Why is Toronto number one for the Bills? Because it was a threat. It was the thing that outranks everything else. Go and lose 50 games in a row. Go be the Hugh Jackson Browns. Go be the beginning Buccaneers. It's almost kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you're maybe going to leave That's the worst.
Yeah.
We want you to stay. That's the number one thing. So that would be, for the Braves, that would be it, I think. I mean, due respect.
Sure.
To the Pants and Moses.
And
all these cool
I
things.
agree. I think
Tiny Archibald.
Like the first thing I thought of yesterday, if not the first thing, but I like Terrell Owens. I hated that. And then you came off the top rope with Toronto. I'm like, yeah, that kind of blows Terrell Owens out of the water.
I'm not even sure. I'm glad I thought of it. Because I had trouble for a few minutes on the Bills. Like, what is the thing that they did, like the move that they made that was the worst?
It can be hard to tap into the angst and frustration of that era because things have been so great for for many years now in a row.
It's not hard for me.
Okay.
But it's still like you kind of block it out. It's not. I don't mean that as the same thing. Like you sort of block out a lot of the bad. Moving. So here are the Carolina Hurricanes in their infinite wisdom wearing Whalers uniforms. And is that not like really offensive?
Oh, it's horrible.
Let's go.
It is horrible. I've hated it from the minute it first happened.
You steal the team. And, for fun, 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, you're going to wear their uniforms?
Yeah, no.
Just, for like a money grab?
You should not be allowed to do that.
You should not be allowed to do that.
Imagine
if Toronto had, our worst fears. They take the Bills. Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. I mean, never Trump, right? I mean, that would... am I in trouble? Is there going to be a meeting tomorrow because I said his name? So Bon Jovi buys the Bills and moves them to Toronto like everybody thought, even though he's always denied it, of course. That's what I would do.
Sure.
So he moves the Bills to Toronto, his people, and they rebrand them.
Yeah, new uniforms, new name, all new, sure.
I would do that.
Yes.
The Bills had not won a championship. It's not theirs exactly. You move the Bills to Toronto. You move the Browns to Baltimore. They're not the Baltimore Browns. They're the Baltimore Ravens. Well, the Colts did this, but this seems right. Mm-hmm. You would just sort of reset it.
Yep.
New colors, new name, new mascot.
You wouldn't have to do that, but it's reasonable enough to assert for the point you're making here. If they do that, and then what happens, right? A year or 5 years or however long into them being the Toronto. I don't know. Do they just name them the Argonauts or do they pick some other name? Whatever. They're the Toronto whatevers. All right. And then they decide, hey, we should see if we can get Jim and Thurman to come up and have a Buffalo Bills Day, and we'll wear the throwback uniforms. I also don't want to have a meeting for saying the wrong thing, but I'm looking for a rocket launcher on the black market if that happens. I am out of my mind with anger.
That's a lot.
If they do that. Just no.
Well, do you remember talking about whether or not we would disown them?
Yeah.
If they moved?
Yeah.
And it was kind of split.
Yeah. I hated.
I thought I would follow them. I thought I would stay with
it. I know.
It.
You advocated for it. It's an NFL team, and it's advocated. Whatever. You make the best of it, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think I could push back on that hard enough.
Okay.
They would have been dead to me. I don't know what, I'd be... I don't know, selling life insurance. I would just, because having this job and having to talk like we talk about the Bills, even any semblance of that here 5 days a week, 6 days a week, doing post game. No, I would not be able to do that with a clear conscience. I would have had to do something else for a living.
Do you think the station would have done that?
I really don't know.
Well,
I feel like it might have been the end of the station.
Yeah, me too. Rochester is almost the same distance away, but they never had the Bills. It's not that they left Rochester to come here, in which case, you might just be I'm closing my mind off to them forever. And, there's also an international border, if you want to make it about that, which I don't think I would. That was never kind of how I felt about it. I love Canada. So, hour and a half away, the games are accessible. We really did have conversations with listeners about how we would handle it.
I think it was a legitimate enough threat for a few years there that, it was something I think worth talking. It was something I would just, we should never talk about this because it's never going to happen. Like, it felt like it could happen almost at any time for a few years there.
If WGR wanted to sort of stay with it, if you will, with the Bills in Toronto as a full-time team there, they leave. And so we're I'm not sure the flagship station would be the right term, but we're sort of in the family, and we're kind of like the conduit from them to Bills fans in Western New York and whatever. Would that have worked? Like, would there have been protests? Would there have been enough backlash to that? I think that the thing just goes under.
I think I would lean more towards it goes under.
Obviously, if we'd had the YouTube thing, like the Twitch thing,
that could have made all the difference.
Now it would have been fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think there certainly, and opinions were split on that then too, as I remember it anyway. It's not like you were on an island by yourself.
No, I think they were.
But splitting the audience in a market this size, I think the station would have died. Maybe we would have put up a fight. We would have gone. I would have been gone. I'm just saying. I don't think there's any way I could have done it. But I don't think the venture would have made sense financially anymore for the station to be what it has been.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've thought of it.
Yeah.
What it took to think of it was the Hartford Whalers playing the Sabres tonight. That's what it took for me to think of it.
Right.
Is that, like, I'm kind of into this game. I want it. And it's Hartford. So they get away with that.
Yeah. It's
Brindamore. Come on, let's go. It's Brindamore already. Mm-hmm. He's the coach. He'll have a Whalers little lapel pin. And, isn't Stahl still on? One of the Stalls is still on the team.
Jordan Stahl, I believe, is still on the Carolina Hurricanes.
On.
Yeah.
Let's get it going for the Carolina Whalers. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's fire it up. I want this game.
Really?
Yes, I do. I want this game.
I can tell.
I want this game because I'm sort of emotionally investing in this. I'm doing the 7 out of 10 points dance with the Sabres, and I believe it's 4 out of 4 so far. So by that, it's like 3 out of 6. But maybe I can do better than that. Montreal twice after this game. Okay.
When did the 5-game increments begin?
The game before the break.
Oh, okay.
No, the Rangers game.
Okay, so they're
Right?
they're 2 for 2.
They're 2 for 2. 4 out of 4 points.
Okay. So
I think.
Yeah, I never, when we talked to Paul about this on Tuesday, I didn't get the line of demarcation for where the first 5-game increment would begin.
He said there were 28 games left because it was 5 groups of 5 and then 3 at the end.
Right.
And what is it?
Well, they have played
54?
56 games as of now.
All right, so it's these 2.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
All right. Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't include the Nashville loss. Why would he do that?
Coming out of the break, like, here, clean sheet, here we go, we got this much left, so let's do this. That does make sense. I thought that I just wanted to make sure that that's where we're starting. So, I don't know, I mean, you can afford to lose this one.
No. I mean, yes, but no. Not a great team. The Hartford nonsense. Did the Sabres actually ever win in Hartford either? How do you think of the Hartford? We were there.
Yeah,
they were always annoying.
I was in the building.
They were always you were in the building for the last game until you got thrown out.
No, but I mean, I was in the Hartford Civic Center one time.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
It was a mall.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a kind of a weird scene. Yeah.
What was it like?
Like a hockey rink that was built in the 70s or 80s. Yeah,
That was in a mall.
Yeah, it was not.
It was called the mall.
It was, yes. It was, it was weird.
So you'd have to go through like a Kaufman's. You'd have to walk through Kaufman's.
A food court.
Right?
Yeah. Oh.
And then you'd be, you just sort of
yeah.
put out your ticket. They would rip it in half.
You'd be at a game. Yeah. Not a great atmosphere.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
But they were always annoying.
Yeah.
Like, they never played the Sabres in the playoffs. one or the other was always like the worst team.
Yeah.
Buffalo or Hartford or Quebec, I guess. But one or the other always was last. And then nothing. Like to me, Buffalo at Hartford was like, this game is kind of like not watchable.
It's a Saturday night, and it's almost as dark as the Long Island Coliseum was. Like, it just never looked good.
Still is.
And just sort of like, it's not great. Not great.
I want this. Like, I kind of want to believe in the Sabres' upside right now. And if it's not too much in there being some amount of inspiration over there. Lindy has this card.
Yeah, we did this we talked about this. We did this in 2011.
2011, This is sort of there's a chance here. And in 2011, he had players that he had Vanek. Like, he had players who had been in the playoffs with him. It wasn't so remote, in your memory. Some of these guys on the Sabres would not be able to tell you that they remember a Sabres team in the playoffs. Even like Dahlin, maybe. It's too long ago. It's 14 years ago. But rough with the ownership change, it just worked. Like, they stirred the pot and they got some mojo and the crowd came back and they did it. And like, I know the odds are against it. The odds were against it then, but they're kind of on a roll. The schedule isn't bad. This game isn't that bad. Montreal twice after. Like, if it keeps going forward here for the next 3 to 5 games, then you're going to be able to smell it.
Right. I'm struggling with all of this still. I don't know if you can. No, it's fine. I mean, I like where you are, because I'm even. They win 4 of them or 3 of them and lose 1 in overtime. They go 3-1-1 in the next 5, even though it's not an exact 5-game increment like Lindy laid out. Then you're right. It'll be time. And if they don't, then we'll be back in here. Like, if they lose this game and lose to Montreal on Saturday, on Monday, it was like, yeah, that was pretty much it. Right? So you want to at least, I guess, get it out while you can. But the whole operation just doesn't. I can't really get all the way there yet. I recognize the things they're doing well, and I see the scores. I'm watching the games. They're still in last place. There's just so much that needs to go your way. Nice that Ottawa lost in regulation last night to Winnipeg. Winnipeg's now won 11 in a row. That's a hard game. They lost.
Look at you. Good. I mean, with all this being said, you're following the conference. You watch the league. So you've got the Ottawa score. You know that Detroit plays Columbus later? Is that what you told me?
Well, Zach mentioned that in the update, and what did I say? Oh, okay, we're at somebody winning regulation, because those are the 2 teams in the wild card spots. So just, God, don't give me a 3-point game.
I think where you are might be closer to where I am than you're letting on. But there's something, and I've been there too, and maybe I'm wrong. You could tell me you might even be upset if I say this, but there's like how you feel, and then there's sort of how you want to be portrayed. And we've both been with the Sabres at times, like, I can't give you my vote. I mean, it's just too many. There's too much scar tissue. There's too much history. And I don't believe in, like, part of what you just said was like believing in the whole thing, the operation. I think you might have used the word operation. And, I think that all of that is fair for anybody to say about them. But I think, not to say that's wrong, because I don't really disagree with that, but I think on the ice they are better than 6 teams ahead of them. Easily, even. Pittsburgh, Philly, Islanders, Boston? Boston? Wyshynski's writing about they're trading Marchand.
Yeah.
Like, Boston, point, goal differential, Buffalo, -7, Boston, -27, and 3 more games played. Detroit, -10. They're in a spot. Rangers -3, Philly -22, Islanders -15, Pittsburgh -1 million. What do you want as a fan? And, if the next guy says that, you're a chump or something for buying into it. This has been me. We both have been this. Like, on the other side of it, with the Sabres or the Bills, in interactions with fans over the years, where the fan is like, guys, why not just be hopeful? Mm-hmm. And, I might say, well, here's why.
Yeah.
And I think usually I would have been right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make being hopeful bad.
No, that's right. And nothing you said is, to me, offensive about how I'm expressing my position. How's this? It is, talking like this is much better than, going, what? I don't know what to do. Right? Because that's where I have been for months on end about them. We start talking about them, and I just feel hopeless. And that's not a conversation. I mean, it's a conversation you can have once, right? But like day over day, what am I doing here, right? So like, there's a little bit of, you said like how you feel and how you want to be portrayed. Like, we do have a show to do, and they are a professional hockey team. So like, all right, I guess buying in, I can't do it yet. I just can't do it. But what I guess maybe I'm doing here with you is shopping. Like, I'm not leaving the store, right? I mean, I'm in there, and as long as I'm in there, I might buy. I'll talk to you about the cars you have in the showroom. This one performs really well in bad weather.
You like that one?
Yeah, I might like that one.
You like that one car?
I might. Yeah.
All right, so, just relax, get a cup of coffee, stay here. I'll be back in 35 minutes after I talk to 7 managers.
Okay, right. So I haven't left the dealership. Like, what has happened here with the 5-game increments and their 5-on-5 play that sort of belies their place in the standings that they dug for themselves with a 13-game winless streak earlier this year, I'm not storming out of the dealership. But I'm also, I don't have my credit card out. You don't have my information yet. Oh. I'm not applying for a loan at this point, but I'm still here.
It turns out actually 4 of the managers are not here today.
Right.
So we have to find them.
We've done enough shows over the years. It's been a long time in car dealerships that like I could just be a person that's there for the free hot dog. Right now, like that's the extent to how
I love that.
They got hot dogs.
I'd love a free hot
dog.
You
spin the wheel and win some jelly or something. I don't know. There's stuff we used to give away at these remotes we used to do.
You get the hot dog plain, but if you spin the red number, then you get mustard.
You get condiments.
You get actually put some stuff on it.
So that's me. Like I'm there. So there's a chance you could still get me to buy something, but it's going to take a little while yet.
Well, listen, I am not all talk here. I'm on the Sabres for 25 to win 71, plus 185.
Yeah,
right now.
I made my Thompson bet tonight
with a win.
Yes.
All right.
There's no other way to do the Thompson bet.
Well, I kind of hope they win and he scores 2.
And Darlene to get 2 assists. It needed to be a 3-leg parlay to get a profit boost, so I threw that in. So I'm invested.
I'm rooting against you tonight.
Thank you.
This is my moment. I want to win, and I want Thompson to score twice.
He did that on Saturday.
Great. So it's been done.
Yeah.
That's what I want. We are expecting a conversation today with Travis Yoast. How realistic might it be to see the Sabres making a push here? Go ahead. Tell us why we're crazy, or I'm crazy, or I'm right. Nobody's ever called to say that. Pregame at 6, Paul Hamilton on his birthday will join us from Raleigh at 6 o'clock. 803-0550 for your calls. We'll get into some NFL draft as well as the Combine continues. And it's Defensive Lineman Day, and maybe that's what we need to pay the closest attention to, because that's, odds on. If the Bills are going to – it's not like better than 50-50 necessarily, but if there were odds on what position they pick with their first pick, this would be first. D-line would be first.
I agree with that.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, hoping to hear from you. This is WGR.
trench that we built for ourselves. And, we've played strong hockey here, last 20, 25 games, and we've won 5 out of 6. And knowing that, we did look at where the last wild card team would probably end up in a range, and felt we'd give the team goals to get to that point, and knowing that, your last 4 or 5 games of the season would be really important.
Lindy Ruff this week on WGR. Well, you got to put yourself out there. I'm in. I might even bet a playoff berth if there is one available for me to bet, for one to bet. I might even do that. Ooh. I've got them tonight. Boy, plus 185. I mean, that's
juicy.
Hefty.
Yeah,
that's juicy.
That is. I no surprise. I mean, they're playing a team well above them in the standings, so I was expecting them to be an underdog, and that usually means that the number on the Thompson hat trick is going to be high. I think last week at one point I said to you, even on Tuesday it was like 4,500 or something. I can't do that. It needs to be like 77,000, 70.
What's the difference?
7,500 today.
What's the difference?
I just need I need the juice, man. I gotta have it. I gotta have it be a longer shot than what it was on Tuesday. Anyway,
they beat this team a little over a month ago at home
in one of the weirdest games maybe ever.
They got outshot badly.
And they had what happened? McLeod got a hat trick, even though he didn't score the goal at the end.
He didn't touch the puck.
Well, he had the puck. He was going in, and he got.
No, he never touched it.
Is that what?
But he was the closest.
Oh, okay.
So they gave him the goal?
I thought it was like a penalty on him going in on the empty
they tripped him up. He was going to score.
Okay, so
and they took him out. So they gave it's an automatic goal.
So he had
goalie out.
He had the puck though.
No, I don't think he ever touched it.
Oh wow.
Well, I don't know.
Oh no, that's right.
He was just going.
That was the oddity about it, that he got credit for the goal without having the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a hat trick, and they never had a shot on goal in that period.
That's the other thing about it.
Listen, say it with me. It's our year.
I'm trying to keep it straight because you know what I'm commingling that game with the Penguin game where the goalie got a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
Like that also
Nedeljkovic.
That happened for
the Penguins.
For the Penguins, right.
Oh, I mean, if they miss, it'll be, for anybody who wants it, it'll be another pile of, like, how did you lose that one? But, bad teams do that.
Yeah.
Is this a bad team? I don't think so right now. 803-0550. Just the right kind of game for me tonight. I mean, not that many teams are too good anyway. Carolina isn't too good. They're good. Fine, let's go. And then you sort of work your way up to the playoff race. You get everybody's, interest. People start to come, and let's go. It's closer and closer and closer. Then you make it. When some new version of Nathan Gerbe scores a goal from behind his back, and you make it, and then you play Washington, an actually mediocre team in the first round, but has a great record, but they're kind of bad, and that's just like to the cup.
FanDuel has the Sabres at plus 3,000 right now to make the playoffs.
30-1.
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm doing it.
All right.
Paul is with us. Hi, Paul.
Good luck.
Geez, I haven't made a bet in a while. That's a great number, plus 3,000.
It is.
I'll tell you what, guys. If we're not bought in and glass half full right now, I mean, what else are we going to root for? So I got to look at it this way. I think right now I have the two best players who are going to be playing in the game. They're both 100% healthy, and they're both hot. I think Seth Jarvis may be nursing something from the Four Nations. I think Carolina has lost 2 in a row. And if you believe in due, there's nobody more due than the Buffalo Sabres in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I think my goalie is due for a good one. So let's go, Sabres. Get on the train. This is number Paul. 3 of 10 in a row. Let's go, guys.
Let's go, Paul.
Paul Hamilton had. I don't have it memorized here. I can go find it probably relatively quickly. They're on a not just 2 in a row. It's like 6 of 7 or something. Like they're in a bit of a spin. Carolina. It was interrupted by the break, but they have not been playing their best lately.
Maybe that is their best.
I kind of doubt that. They can be a very, very hard team to play against when they are on their game. I say to Paul, I think maybe the last time they met, I was alone talking to Paul, and I made a point of saying whenever the Sabres play this team, it feels to me like whoever on Buffalo has the puck, there are 3 Hurricanes positioned to like take away all options. Like that's how Carolina. I know that literally is not what happens, but it just feels that way. Like they are just on you. So I'll respect a win from them tonight a lot. I think this is a tough game, even if Carolina's not going great.
I thought I had just bet the playoff bet that you suggested, but I realize I have no money.
No,
in FanDuel.
That's a tough one.
I'll have to work that out as we go through the day. Is it going to change? Is this a DK Horse situation where because we're talking this thing up like this, it's going to move? The odds are going to shorten? I doubt it.
Me too.
In NFL draft news, Abdul Carter might need attention on his foot, and that could mean he will not be the first overall pick, as the odds had said he would be. So tell me what you think Tennessee should do. Whether that's Carter anyway, I doubt it will be after that news.
Yeah. I feel like it got downplayed. Like in the morning, the first thing I saw was he could need surgery. That would involve putting a screw in there to stabilize it, but they haven't made a final determination on that. And then later in the day, it was, he's fine. They're not going to have to do that. Now, that could, just the idea of that being a conversation could be enough to push Tennessee away, which might be what you're saying there. Because even if he doesn't need the procedure, you're drafting a guy at the top of the draft that has something wrong with his foot, at least right now. But I don't know, like Matthias Samuelsson had a broken bone in his foot a couple of weeks ago and then came back and played and didn't have any surgery. So not the same thing. If you're talking about putting a screw in, then there's maybe reason to be concerned. So I don't know if I had the first pick, how excited I would be to spend it on a guy that, could in a year need to have surgery on his foot to put a screw in it. Like there's a scenario out there where they go, he's fine. And he gets into the year and they win 3 games by December and his foot's bothering him. And they go, hey, we're going to shut him down. And we get that screw put in there and then he'll be back ready to go at training camp. And he's never the same.
Right, yeah.
Right, just, who knows?
I don't love it.
That's the buyer beware part of it. So I get it being in question whether he'll be the top pick with this news, even if it got walked back and sounded less threatening as the day wore on.
If we were they, how fired up would you be about drafting one of the quarterbacks?
I think I would be all in on drafting one of the quarterbacks.
Just would be like sort of singing that song, just do it because you never know.
Right.
And like it's just too important, too valuable if you get it right.
I think I know Levis ain't it. And I've got the first pick. And so, yeah, it would hurt to miss, but I think teams have learned not to stay there for too long. Like I think probably 10 years ago, or maybe even less than that, I would say to you, you miss on a QB, you're setting your franchise back 4 years because you're going to spend all this time. You're not going to give up on it early, kind of where Indianapolis is now, right? They've had 2 very unsteady years. They're still going, but competition and whatever, we'll see what happens there. I just feel like teams have learned to not stay for too long. If a guy doesn't seem to have it, even if there's a threat of him figuring it out somewhere else, like Geno Smith or Sam Darnold, you're just going to move off. All right, I got to do something else. So you could draft him and burn 2 years, but by 3 drafts from now, you're back in the same spot trying again. But I would try. If I have access to the best guy, and I know there's not a can't miss on any one of these quarterbacks, even Cam Ward, I think I would try it.
I'm wondering if we might not get as much reporting as yesterday after the scuffle.
Right.
Is everybody taking a step back today?
One of my favorite stories of all time.
You see, Trapasso pointed out that Jordan Schultz is the son of the Starbucks heir.
I did.
I didn't know that. Howard Schultz.
I did not know that either.
So they're in Starbucks, and I think probably just what it seems to me, rightfully, the guy, approaches Rappaport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you do that?
If you weren't, can I fill it out for people? Schultz was the one that had the report, and the wording was something along the lines of Brady hosted Matthew Stafford at his house at a ski resort. And then Rappaport later in the day was sort of like, it's a big mountain and lots of wealthy people vacation there, and they just randomly met. And
everybody's in Montana.
I would understand the original reporter, Schultz, being like, because Rappaport, what's his reputation, right? He's protecting somebody with that, the Raiders or Brady or Stafford or whatever, even though they don't, Stafford's been given the right to talk to teams. So it's not like there's a bunch of, subterfuge happening there. But still, he basically refuted the Schultz report. Very carefully worded. And I would understand Schultz wanting to sort of, hey man, like.
Well, especially, if you had it.
Yeah, right.
If you had it. If you didn't have it, then you would definitely not start something. But if you had it, and that Rappaport is just sort of
carrying water for somebody,
doing that work.
Yep.
Like, I could be offended. I could see being offended by that. I want to think that I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
But then if my dad built Starbucks...
Not sure if that's the place I would pick for the confrontation.
No, I probably feel like I couldn't say anything ever. Just, who am I? I'm just the guy whose dad built Starbucks. Like, what?
Yeah.
That would feel pretty low. It'd be tough, I think, in life if you had sort of like a really wealthy, famous parent.
Rough in what way exactly?
Well, not in a sort of intrinsic way, but in a morale sort of way.
Trying to carve your own path.
What's my identity?
Is hard.
I think about like Joe Buck. Like, I've never been a Joe Buck fan, and who's Iron Eagles kid? Like, some of these guys have talent, but you're there because you're dead. Like, that's why you're there. So, I think as somebody that isn't there, admittedly, like. Oh, well, that must be nice. And if that's your life, that's probably great. But I think the way I think, I would have a tough time. I don't know. I might have a tough time sort of like with my own identity.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only here because I was given this privilege. And, that's a relative thing, too. Like, we're all here on some level because of privilege, right? Like, we've all had lucky breaks and people that we know and different things. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
There was at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like, Trapasso's line was he had home field advantage. I don't know.
Buck has really grown on me.
I know.
After how he and Aikman handled the DeMar Hamlin game, Buck seemed to be refuting what the league was trying to tell you was happening, and I appreciate that. And I think since then they both have become much more irreverent is a little strong because they're still in an NFL booth, but there was a time this year during a game where they had the rules guy on, and I'm telling you, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like Joe Buck scared the ever-living crap out of the rules guy. Because he was questioning what was going on the field, and the rules guy was trying to toe the line for the league, and Buck was like, but I thought they're not supposed to be able to call a penalty after. And I appreciate that on that stage, them just not rolling with it. I don't think that's an easy thing to do. So my admiration for both of them has grown.
Russell Yurt?
Yes, that's the guy.
Oh, baby. Let's go. Could the season be that far away? Travis Yoast coming up at 4, Sabres and Bills. Sabres at Hurricanes/Whalers, 6 o'clock pregame with the birthday boy, Paul Hamilton. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
More of
kind of a fun time of year, I would say. The Combine keeps football fans interested. What's going to happen there? Who are the standouts? What happens at the top of the draft? What about these defensive linemen the Bills might want, etc.? Sal Capaccio is on his way home from the Combine. We'll talk to Sal probably tomorrow. And also Theo Greminger, who's all about the Combine. He'll join us tomorrow as well. Kevin Adams, too. Sammy P, too. Oh, tomorrow's is going to be
chock full of goodness.
Busy. Yeah, busy. Baseball. We've got spring training. Trivia.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have your book today.
I know I didn't bring it. I was up very late with it.
I'd like to read about my Red Sox during the commercial breaks.
You had your chance.
Yeah, I know.
I was up 12:45 with it. Just immersed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a good book?
Sure, yeah.
You're just reading it and you can't stop?
Yeah.
That was me last night with Prospectus. Who is the Padres' all-time leader in homers?
Kevin McReynolds.
Good name. Good name. Not right. Machado.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
Believe it?
No.
No, because we don't follow it that seriously, and it feels like he just got there.
Right.
He passed Nate Colbert, maybe it was. He passed, he took the lead last year all time in Padres home runs.
Wow.
Machado. Kind of like him this year.
Is it
He's not even 200.
Right. Is it 3 years there for him? Is this his third year there?
More, maybe 5. 4 or 5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, he should have way more than 200.
I don't know the number. I don't know any of it. I just know that I read.
Yeah,
it was so late. Maybe I'm wrong.
That is really surprising to me.
Is it? Okay. So we've got baseball. The Briar is tomorrow night. Men's Canadian Curling Championships tomorrow night. First night. Kelowna, so it's late, Bulldog. BC.
Are you going to be able to watch it without going to Canada?
No, I doubt it. I mean, unless they...
Right.
I think...
Well, thanks for bringing it up.
I think what might have happened is that... What network? Peacock, even maybe, had United States mixed doubles curling last week, and maybe because of that, TSN didn't stream to the States, or maybe because of the politics. I don't know. Like somebody could just be annoyed. Somebody who boos the anthem might have been in charge of whether TSN can stream the curling. But there was American curling available to watch, and if I were I would not want the Canadian stream.
Sure, right.
Like watch us.
Yeah.
Tyler George was really good. He does some of the commentary on the slams. He was working at the mixed doubles. So I just don't really like the mixed doubles, but whatever. So maybe I haven't seen anything to this effect, but maybe with the men. Should be really good. With the women, it was always Rachel Holman's to lose, and she went undefeated and won the final 6-1 or something. Men is more wide open. We'll talk to Travis Yoast about it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what
Travis
he has to say about this.
is not Canadian. He writes for TSN. He might know nothing. I'm not Canadian. He might know nothing about the Briar and how Brad Gushu looks for this tournament. But maybe we'll find out. Pregame for Sabres at Hurricanes at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. This is WGR.
Testing is underway at the NFL Combine over in Indianapolis. Today, the defensive linemen and linebackers are on the field. TV coverage over on the NFL Network, and currently going on right now is the 40-yard dash for the defensive linemen. Some guys, though, not participating today due to injuries. Michigan's defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, that is due to a hamstring strain that popped up during a medical evaluation, while Penn State's Abdul Carter, he is not expected to have surgery on a small stress reaction on his foot. Previous reports had it that was leaning towards that way. The Chiefs are placing the franchise tag on guard Trey Smith. That now sees him at a 1-year, $23.4 million deal. It is fully guaranteed, and multiple reports do have the Chiefs hoping to get a long-term deal done with Smith. And speaking of deals, we do have the 2025 salary cap officially being set, and it will be $279.2 million. Over in hockey, the Sabres are in action tonight. They are on the road against Carolina. They got a long way to go for themselves to get back into a playoff hunt, but this win could go a long way. Pregame getting underway at 6, for puck drop at 7. One note for the Sabres, Jason Zucker is questionable and was not at optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, it'll be Sam Lafferty who will draw into the lineup, and it is also Whalers night for the Hurricanes. And then around the rest of the NHL, very busy night, 11 other games on the schedule. Some notables, Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town, both those games getting going at 7. Flyers are in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins at 7:30, and the night's going to wrap up with 2 games at 10. Ducks host Vancouver, and Vegas has Chicago in town. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
The Tampa Bay Rays, they're defunct.
They don't exist anymore?
They don't exist anymore. I just
the
decided
Red Sox?
Today. We should make a call, let them know. But I just decided they're out. I would rather watch the guy, the painting guy. Who's the painting guy?
Bob Ross.
I'd rather watch Bob Ross than watch my favorite baseball team play in Tampa.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
What a matchup. It is bracket season. What a matchup. Your favorite team playing a game in Tampa, or Bob Ross painting a lake and a mountain.
Give me the lake all day long.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Still kind of a false equivalence for me. Like, Bob Ross is enjoyable. In a vacuum, that's a fun watch, isn't it? Like, you get 25 minutes, watch Bob Ross just make something out of nothing. Love that. So it's got to be, it was your point. It's got to be something for me that I like the news. Well, cable news. It would be that. It would be like cable news or the baseball thing. And I would always watch the baseball.
Well, there's a reason why you knew the name of the guy, and I said the guy who paints, because I've never watched. I know, I recognized his name when you said it, but I didn't have it because I've never watched it.
It's pleasurable.
Yeah.
It is. It's kind of amazing.
I believe you, but I would never choose to watch it unless the Red Sox were playing in Tampa.
Okay. Travis Yoast with us. It's been a while. Love talking to Travis. West Her Hotline. Travis, how's life?
Life is good. I got a reference that Bulldog's not going to get. The Sabres power play, we call that a happy mistake, Show. Is that accurate?
Would you rather watch the Sabres on the power play? Travis.
No, I would not.
Are you sitting down? I'm kind of into them right now. Like, it's 1%, which is not 0. It's also not 2 to make the playoffs. But, they're winning a little bit. 5-on-5, what is it worth? I guess I don't need to ask you, but what is it worth to have a team, this latest version of the Sabres is pretty respectable at even strength, but it's still, at least to this point, not going to be their year.
I would go a little further than pretty respectable at even strength. And this is, again, this is the absolute maddening part of this entire discussion. I made the point last week. I was just looking, doing typical data stuff and looking at the standings, and I'm like, the Sabres are 5 goals better than the Canucks. And then that got me down a rabbit hole because just knowing where the Canucks are in the playoff position, the Sabres being dead last. Look at would you rather be the Sabres or the Golden Knights at even strength? Answer is the Sabres. Would you rather be the Sabres or the Devils at even strength? The answer is the Sabres. These are not just playoff teams. These are teams we consider Stanley Cup contenders. And 9 times out of 10, when you are winning at aggregate over an 82-game season at even strength, unless you have multiple catastrophic blow-ups in the other 25% of the game states that the NHL plays, you're going to make the playoffs, which brings me to the other side of the coin. And this is the part that has to be utterly maddening for the front office, for the fans, the coaching staff. You've got a top 10 even strength team in the league since puck drop on opening night, and you are in dead last in the Eastern Conference. You're probably a few points better in the standings than your record shows. It's fine, so be it. But you've got a power play that is whatever's 2 steps below ineffective is how I would describe the Sabres' power play. And the goaltending, same discussion every single year. There's bits of hope here. There's bits of hope here. The goaltending has just been flat out not good enough. So now I'm coupling a mediocre penalty kill with an abysmal power play with goaltending that is not outperforming. They're underperforming league averages. I mean, you can make an argument the best goaltender the Sabres have had this year. If you're willing to include any of them, it's probably James Reimer, which says, I think, plenty about where the Sabres are at. So, I mean, it's a two-sided coin. This is I don't know, one of the 15 best, I'd say most exciting or entertaining teams in the league. They can score pretty at will at even strength. They win games on average at even strength. They play dynamic, they play up tempo, and then they just find ways to shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over. 7-3 in their last 10, so it's definitely been better of late. But until one of the two things improve, the power play or the goaltending, they're on the treadmill of mediocrity until further notice.
When you look at them, assuming you've watched them closely enough, like what is the trouble with the power play? Is it just too stationary? What is there a coaching problem? Like where are we?
So unfortunately, I actually spent. I'm not this. You asked how's life. I spent 2.5 hours like a week and a half ago watching the Sabres and Islanders power plays, just clips over clips over clips. Which you only do that if you're on a full stomach. You don't want to be on an empty stomach watching the Islanders or the Sabres.
And if you're getting paid,
right? If it's your job.
Yeah, fair enough. The thing that it comes down to me, if you look at power plays around the league, and it's so easy to go to the Edmontons of the world and be like, oh yes, just have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to make magic, right? That's not a recipe for most teams in the league. And when I look at the high quality power plays, they tend to have three elements, right? They've got quality shooting from one or both of the circles. They've got a dynamic puck mover on the blue line. Sabres definitely have that. And most importantly, they play with tempo in the offensive zone with control. So it starts obviously with a forecheck and retrieving pucks, but it's also about creating whip in the offensive zone and getting that goaltender moving post to post. And these things are easier said than done, but you watch a Sabres power play, and honestly, I use the Island. If you're a Sabres fan and you want to feel better about the Sabres power play, watch the Islanders power play. Yeah. It's like they're skating in concrete. I mean, sometimes it feels like they're almost at even strength, and the numbers speak for themselves. I mean, do you guys know offhand who the two leading scorers are on the power play for the Sabres this year?
No.
It's Jason Zucker and Rasmus Dahlin, and I think that says everything about the state of the power play. You've got a journeyman with 8 goals on the power play and a defenseman who should be at the heart of that power play and making it click. Yes, I like that element. I like the fact that Dahlin has I think he's got 4 or 5 goals on the power play this year. That's good, but there is just not enough scoring pop. They move the puck way too slow, and these penalty kills, especially with the goaltending talent around the league, the Sabres are not offering them challenges. And yes, that is a convenient thing to say when you're going through a 4 or 5 month stretch where you cannot find goals. But again, you juxtapose Sabres video against watch a Jets game, for example. And, the Jets might have a little more offensive firepower, but not that much. I mean, what makes the Sabres absolutely hum and click at even strength, not every element of that is translatable to the power play. It's a different setup, but they play with pace, they play with tempo, and they're willing to get inside, especially in tight, on opposing goaltenders at 5-on-5. They just flat out can't do it on the power play, and that coupled with goaltending it has sunk them in the standings. This team right now should be indiscernible in the standings from Ottawa, and yet look how far away they are.
A couple of numbers. So the Jets, who you mentioned, Travis, lead the league in power play goals with 51 and in percentage, 31%. The Sabres sit at 27 goals for the season. The Islanders, who you mentioned, 15. which is crazy to think somebody's got.
The Islanders, I'll say it right now. I'll just, you know what? How about a pick me up for Sabres fans? That Islanders power play, and by the way, that's what spurned me watching the Sabres. It wasn't the other way around. That Islanders power play might be the worst unit I've seen in the last 15, 20 years.
15 power play goals through 57 games for New York.
Mind-boggling.
Well, there's that. We have that going for us, that it was because of the Islanders, Bulldog, that Travis got to the Sabres. Well, is it over then? I mean, it's about a third of the season left. It's the usual dance where even if the Sabres weren't last in points, and they have games in hand on everybody, but, you're down bad. You've got to pass all these teams, and they're going to play each other, right? We know from this many years over. Is there any hope?
Man, this would have to be one hell of an all-time run. I think your 1-2% measure. I know that was where your interest. Not interest. I don't want to speak by where it was like, yeah, I'm a little engaged. I'm a little curious. I mean, we have seen teams go on absolutely nuclear runs to end the year. Pittsburgh did it once. 2016 Ottawa did it once. It can happen, right? Especially, and the odds are a little better when the most important thing is, am I winning games at 5-on-5? Right. For the Sabres, for almost every other lottery team, the answer is a definitive no. For the Sabres, it's weirdly a yes. But then, so you can speak yourself into being like, yeah, this team can skate with most teams in the league. They've got a phenomenal matchup tonight in Carolina. I mean, talk about competition, but they have no margin for error. They have to go into Carolina and win. They've got to beat teams. They've got to beat just about every one of these teams. I realistically, what do they have, 55, 56 games left? They got, less than 30 games left on the schedule?
Yeah.
They can maybe afford 4 or 5 more losses in the season if we're talking about a playoff qualifier, because it's not just that they're, 8 to 10 points in trail of the second wild card spot. And this is like the classic sportsism that you always bring people closer to when it comes to statistics. It's not that they can't cover an 8 or 9 or 10 point ground. It's that you've got to leapfrog 7 or 8 teams to do that, and not every single one of those teams, just by the nature of the schedule and playing one another, is going to lose those games. So, for the Sabres, here's the unfortunate reality. We're, 7-8 days from the NHL trade deadline,
right,
and they have some really, really tough decisions to make because you can look at this team and say, yeah, we're competitive. But then you look at the standings and say, no, we're not. And some of what they have at their disposal right now that actually could bring a meaningful return via trade and improve this team would come at the absolute detriment of what this team looks like for the next 3 months or the next year and a half. And I think at the epicenter of that is Alex Tuch, right? I mean, you talk about a player that any contender in the league would want. He slots easily into the top 9. The way he plays, he's got a year and a half left on his deal. His cap hit is reasonably meaningful. It's reasonably small. It's under 5, somewhere around there. That is the type of player that teams are going to pony up picks, prospects, whatever they can, because he's such an easy add, even against the hard salary cap. But also, who has been the single most important player, at least on a rate basis, to the Sabres at 5-on-5? That's also Alex Tuch. So, it's a sliding scale here. If the Sabres are really serious about improving longer term, they're going to have to start parting ways or having serious discussions about what players they're trading away in this window, and whether it's him, Dylan Cousins, who's I think been a little bit of a disappointment this year. They are going to be in a pressure cooker in a way that probably only a few teams are over the next week or so.
What do you think they should do with a couple of UFAs up front, Zucker and Greenway?
Well, so Zucker's interesting because he's kind of like Father Time, because if you think about him, it seems like he's been bouncing around the league for 100 years, and in many ways he has. But in the same respect, it's like this is still a very meaningful contributor to this team, even at the age of 33 years old. If a player like that, if an older veteran player who is still showing signs of scoring touch and not a ton of slippage in his skating ability, which that's really what differentiates Zucker and has made him stick in this league. That's the type of guy that you can extend reasonably cheap based on market dynamics. And to me, one of the reasons why the Sabres are competitive, and especially at 5-on-5, is they have depth at the forward position in a way that they haven't. Is it the best 12, 13 forward group in the league? No, not even close. But they don't have a ton of weak spots either. And you don't want to lose sight of that some of these guys are very contributory to it. Yes, it is a colossal problem that he's your leading scorer on the power play. But, to me, that's a testament to him. Greenway, guys like Greenway, they always feel very, very replaceable, and I typically look at off seasons for those type of decisions rather than committing money now. Find out what the landscape actually looks like, because those players, it's not to speak ill of him or anyone else for that matter. They're valuable. They're bottom six guys, but they tend to be relatively interchangeable, and more importantly, they don't really dictate the fate of your franchise. But I would expect that they at least make a run at Zucker just because of how well he's played this year.
With Travis Yoast. So everybody seemed to like the Four Nations face-off. Took me a few days to realize how they wanted it spelled. But, apart from that, it seemed like a home run. And I wonder what your perspective is on what the effect of it might be, if there even really is one. We spent a lot of time on it because fans here were into it like in a lot of places, Travis, and how perhaps or probably the lack of a recent real international tournament for almost a decade probably really helped this one. Now we have the Olympics next year. What did you think, and what do you think it is worth, whatever you would say, it was in the way of a success?
I said it was a grand slam. The NHL deserves an insane amount of credit, and no one's going to accuse me of being some NHL shill.
I'm not.
Probably, if you look at the 20 years of NHL decisions, there's probably 3 of them that were wins. Going to a 3-on-3 overtime, definitely one of them. The Vegas expansion, definitely one of them. And this, likely a third. And you can call that within the last 15 years. The NHL typically stumbles into this, but there were a couple things that I think made this work. I think a lot of those are causal factors, not having international for a while. That certainly created added interest to it. There's no doubt about that. But 99% of the reason why this tournament worked boils down to one simple truth: the players cared, and that is it. And that is I watched all the NBA All-Star Game versus NHL debates. I'm sitting here and I'm like, there's another universe where the NHL puts an international tournament on display. By the way, there's several every year, Spengler Cup being one of them. I know that's not NHL affiliated, but they're international tournaments and no one cares. And the effort is 70% and blah, 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 blah. The reality is in sports, it doesn't matter what sport it is, if you have people going out there and competing, people have a as long as you are interested in the sport or interested in what's going on, you are going to tune in. The intensity was ramped up. It felt like to infinity in that tournament. And to me, the quality of play was almost secondary, which is insane because every one of those games had talent just through the roof. But I'm thinking of both of the Canada-USA games. I mean, yeah, the talent was blistering, but I wasn't blown away by the talent. I was blown away by how hard the guys were playing, and that's what kept me in my seat, and that's what made me instantly go from, I'll see what the heck this is about, I have zero hope, to, oh, my goodness, this is incredible. Oh, and by the way, the NHL slotted it in one of the softer parts you're going to find in the sports schedule over the course of the year. And you actually had people, and this is not glass half full, wide-eyed optimism hockey fan stuff. You had people that are not hockey fans tuning in because, there's not a lot on. And this game, a friend and family member told me it was super intense, super exciting. I don't know how you recreate, and this is where I think the NBA and even NHL, when they were tinkering around with the All-Star Game for so many years, I don't know how you recreate intensity, and I definitely don't know how you incentivize intensity, right? Just saying, we'll put $10 million, $100 million on the line, it doesn't matter, right? You've got to want the players in any sport to be playing for pride, and that's where I think the players deserve a ton of the credit for that. Yes, the NHL gets credit by extension because they were the ones who put it together, but there is another scenario where the players just show up and skate lazily around the ice, and I promise you, my expectation for that scenario was me turning game one off and not tuning back in. So full-on kudos to the NHL, whatever the hell they need to do to protect that tournament. I don't know that it'll ever be as ridiculous as it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But even if they get 90% of that going forward, and even if it's on an every other year interval, whatever it is, I think that's something that has to stick because the NHL has got some juice here.
Yeah, I think it won't be as fresh for us the next time it comes around because it won't be 9 years. So there'll probably be some tapering of the audience because it'll just be like, oh, they're doing that again. Eventually, probably not in the Olympics, but maybe by the time that World Championship thing comes around in 28, be like, oh, it won't be as exciting, I think, maybe to the average sports fan, let alone hockey fans. But the players, I think, will always be there for it. And that will keep, I think, a certain core group of hockey fans into these tournaments. What I hope, Travis, is that in the years in between, they don't bother trying to prop up the All-Star game anymore. Let guys just go to Cabo or whatever and just be done with it, because it's not, especially in light of what this thing looked like and felt like, man, an All-Star game would be just super weak.
I haven't watched an All-Star game in got to be 10 years. And I used to have a little bit of time for, well, you're not the audience. It's a friends and family event.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Then make it a friends and family event. Like, you making this a multi-day broadcast spectacle is why fans are killing you for it. And the NBA, I mean, I'm watching guys come in like lasers on the forecheck, and I flip the channel, and I'm watching Mr. Beast and Kevin Hart on the NBA All-Star game. And I'm like, this is a disgrace to any sports fan. Like, no one wants this. So I do think it'll dial down somewhat in the intensity. But to your point, if us three, right, real hockey fans, right, that are going to watch games, not just Sabres games or whatever, you're going to watch out of market games too. You see this on the schedule. You may not watch every single game, but I promise you're going to tune in for it. You're going to tune in for the All-Star game next year if it comes back with with Nikita Kucherov skating at 0.1 miles per hour down the ice. No one's watching that. You have picking weeds is a better use of your time. So, and I think the NHL, hopefully that dichotomy has resonated with them.
If you have one more minute, what should the story of this Bills offseason be, Travis? Like, I was thinking today about how it's just a lot like last year. After last year ended, and what do, right? Okay, get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, sure. Weapon, sure. Like, are we going to be having the same conversations as last year, or is there something else?
I think it's a lot of the same, man. I mean, doesn't it feel like every season is just a replica of one another? And I honestly, I think this year, I think there were good faith reasons to be a little more excited about what the quality of this team looked like. They just felt more balanced, and I think that was obvious. And it started with the running game, but it wasn't that alone. I don't know. I think there at least maybe a distinction with only a little difference, but I don't know about you guys. I never felt wholly confident that this defense could hold up against great teams.
Same.
And I get it. You can't have all of it. You can't have a Superman quarterback and keeping your weapons. Shout out Khalil Shakir. We'll see what happens with James Cook. But, like, they you don't need great weaponry around Josh Allen. And, quite frankly, you shouldn't have great weaponry. I know it's easy to say that, but you look at a lot of the models of the teams that have been successful over the last 5-10 years from an offense standpoint, and yes, you have to have playmakers, you have to have weapons, but spending the farm on those positions, it just becomes so regressive everywhere else. And you've got a great offensive line, you've got the adequate weaponry that you just ran with last year, where you had one of the best offenses in the league. I never felt great about the pass rush. I never felt great about the secondary, and it always felt like when they looked cohesive as a unit, it was against the lesser by and large. And that's not the poo-poo on the defense, but boy, I'm telling you, if they could spit out, because I don't think this issue's solved, if they could spit out a high-end pass rusher somewhere, somehow, Myles Garrett, or someone of that particular, and put him on I think the whole story changes about this defense. But right now, I think it's a great offense with a defense it needs some work, and I think they're going to spend a lot of their time and attention at the draft on shoring up the defense as a result.
Good stuff, Travis. I'm just realizing now, Bulldog, I've been so mad at TSN for like a month because they will not let the curling stream into the United States. Here's Travis. He works there. Maybe Travis has pull. I don't know if you can help with this. Or
you know what? I used to, for the first 10 years at TSN, I used to think I didn't have pull. But now that I'm in year 11, boys, I'm actually wondering if I do have a little pull. So shout out TSN for keeping me there. And maybe I need to ring some bells.
That fourth vacation week, double digits. Let's hope anyway.
Let me go try that. I'm going to get a mail or demon message returned.
Thank you, Travis. Always a pleasure.
All right, take care, guys.
Travis Yoast, hockey analyst at TSN, marathon runner, Bills fan. What is the offseason going to sound like? I think for me, I feel like there's a challenge to make it sound different than last year, but how different really should it be? Travis did a nice job there. We'll talk about that some. 803-0550 is the number. Pregame for Sabres Hurricanes /Whalers tonight at 6 with Paul Hamilton, Mike Schopp, and the Bulldog here. Lines are open. This is WGR.
puck drop. One note for the Sabres, Jason Zucker is questionable. He was not at optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, it'll be Sam Lafferty who will draw into the lineup. Around the rest of the NHL, very busy night. 11 other games on the schedule. Some of the notables, Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town. Both those games also going off at 7. At 7:30, the Flyers are in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins. And then tonight we'll round out with 2 games at 10 o'clock. The Ducks host Vancouver, and Vegas has Chicago in town. Heading back to Indianapolis, the NFL Combine officially got underway. The media portion of it wrapped up. The on-field testing began today, and it is the defensive linemen and linebackers who get us underway. TV coverage over on the NFL Network running for much of the day. It got going at 3 p.m. The defensive linemen are currently on the field. Though 2 guys not participating for the defensive linemen, Michigan D-tackle Kenneth Grant. He's dealing with a hamstring strain, while Marshall's edge rusher Mike Green dealing also with a hamstring injury, but hamstring tightness. Chiefs are placing the franchise tag on guard Trey Smith. It's going to be a 1-year, $23.4 million deal for him that is fully guaranteed, but multiple reports do have the Chiefs hoping to get a long-term deal done with Smith. And talking about money, the salary cap for 2025 is officially set, and it will be $279.2 million. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Now is who I think Abdul Carter can become. He's going to be right around 250 pounds at 6'3". He has first step quickness. He understands how to use length and how to use power. He's going to have that ability like Micah does to turn the corner, to chase down quarterbacks. He has that experience his first 2 years playing off-ball linebacker where he was spying mobile quarterbacks and chasing those guys down. So he said he's going to be a game changer. I absolutely agree with him. He is by far the best player in this draft.
By far the best player in this draft, from Matt Miller, draft analyst. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Do you have a guy yet? 803-0550 is the number. A couple of names we have bandied about. What's the safety's name? Nick Amenyora?
Emenwari. South Carolina. 6'3", 227.
Emenwari.
I'm crushing
That's
on
one
that guy.
For Bulldog. That's a safety.
I saw him talking today. He's met with the Bills.
And what did he say that you liked? It had to be something. That was it. He met with the Bills.
I just liked his overall style.
Yeah?
Yeah. Tries to bring something about positive energy, smile on my face, happy to be here, like that. I try to carry that everywhere I go.
Is he an IPA guy?
He was not asked about alcohol. At least the part of the thing that I watched.
That's good.
Don't know.
What's his favorite musical? What's his favorite Broadway show?
Again,
was he asked that?
I'd be guessing. I'm sorry. I just don't know.
What's the right answer to that
Oklahoma.
question? That's a great answer.
Yeah? Okay.
Well, if you're from Oklahoma...
It's a little... It's dated.
It's old. If you're from Oklahoma, you can say that and have it be like both sort of pride and, knowledge.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. Yeah. I was in it.
Of course you were.
It's one of the very few productions I was ever in, Oklahoma, and I got lost on the stage.
Really?
Yeah. They brought up 2... I think it was in 5th grade. They brought up 2 little kids for the hoedown scene. Where everybody's like, it's a high school production, and it was myself and Patty Ricotta. And we got called up to be in the play. The high school, pretty big deal, I guess. And I got one of the shows, I got lost. I didn't know what to do.
It's tough when that happens.
Oh, so tough.
Did the production have an actual covered wagon?
Probably. We probably had all of it.
That's awesome.
I remember a couple of songs.
Yeah, I mean, there's one that's relatively
Oklahoma,
hard to forget.
That one?
That song itself. Yeah,
I'm Just a Girl Who Can't Say No. Yeah. Poor Judd is Dead. Judd Fry is Dead. That was one of the songs. Surrey with a Fringe on Top. Who could forget that?
Yeah, I could.
You only don't know it because you never knew it.
I wasn't in the performance.
Surrey with a Fringe on Top. I could almost sing it.
I only know the radio hits.
I could almost,
not these deep cut remixes like you're referencing.
You just know what
here.
Kiss plays.
Right.
I could almost sing
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Sorry.
You could sing that, apparently. Anyway, that's one guy. Nick Amenwari.
Kenneth
Grant.
Sure, he's a dude.
Who I keep wanting to call Russell Grant, but Kenneth Grant from Michigan, who Sal said yesterday,
15th.
top 15, top 10.
Yeah, he's gone.
And then I sort of made a sound, and then when Sal started to talk again, he's like, oh, maybe I'm a little bit too carried away with Kenneth Grant. But there's another one. Who else do we have?
I think really any of the safeties. Malachi Starks. I don't know if George. I don't know if a safety has to go before 30. I mean, it certainly could happen, especially if a team thinks one of these guys could translate to be like a Kyle Hamilton level player, like just a weapon all over the field for your defense. Then I think, and the Bills have met with all of them. I think, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but like there was a few different guys today that I saw tweets about that all said they had met with the Bills. Starks, Emenworry, and then there was a couple other guys. Maybe Makuba is from Texas. I think he said something about meeting with the Bills, and there's one other one who I can't think of.
Are safeties or, say, DBs and defensive line the only respectable ideas?
I definitely don't think so. No. I think the next few weeks will play a huge role in that.
Free agency comes first.
Yeah, I mean, if they find their way to a big trade up front, for an edge guy like Crosby or Garrett or or even sign Khalil Mack, say I don't know, but they do something there. Or maybe it's for a player that we haven't thought about much. The guy from Tennessee, Landry, who I'm not a huge fan of the idea, but whatever. It's another name that gets thrown on the pile of guys that might be available. If they fill needs that way, then I think it could change a lot of things. Like if they find a player out there that they really like at safety to supplement what they've already got here in free agency, then I'm throwing the idea of drafting, as much as I like the freakish measurables on Emenworry, and then that's kind of off the table for me, at least at 30. So that opens up the door to something else, I think, depending on what happens in free agency. They would still have, if they trade for an edge guy and find a safety, say, or find a corner two in free agency, they still would have a need for a defensive tackle. Like, I think they need to upgrade from Daquan Jones. Whether he's here or not, I think I just need another guy there that is stylistically similar. Bigger body, space eater, double team guy, that kind of dude. So you could still say, like, if Kenneth Grant is there at 30, then you do it. Or someone comparable, you do it. It's deep, at that position, so you could still get pretty good value there. If that's where you go. But to me, I wouldn't then rule out, as crazy as it may seem, a receiver idea. Because I think they're still going to have a need there. But again, like if they find their way to Hollywood Brown or anyone, Darius Slayton, that's going to cost a lot more, I think. That blew my mind when we found that out last week, looking at his projected market value.
I like him.
But anyway, I do too, but not at like, I think I saw $15 million or something, and I was like, oh, my God. But either way, what they do between now and March 12th, or, as soon as March 12th, the market's open and, we see what they do in the first few days of that should, it always does, I think, impact what you're going to do in the draft. When they drafted Elam, if they had landed a number 2 corner to supplement what they already had here, then I wouldn't have really been thinking, oh, my God, they got to draft a corner. But they didn't, and they did draft a corner. So I'm not as – I think it's hard to be locked in. I need this, because I don't know what they're going to do, once free agency opens. And we're close to finding out. I mean, it's almost March.
I think – that's right. The 12th of March is 2 weeks from yesterday, so that's coming up. I think past history, to be redundant – suggests what they'll do on the defensive line, at running back maybe, offensive line maybe. You're just sort of signing for insurance. I don't know if there's like a big move waiting here, but I know other times it's felt like that and they still made one. I think defensive line is really the point here, where you'd want to, maybe safety also. Like, you're signing guys not knowing what the draft is going to give you. The Quentin Jeffersons of the world, guys that come in and they'll be in the rotation, and you're just not going to be sort of left bare at that position. I think that is almost definite to happen at 2 or 3 spots.
I agree. If that's all they do, then I'm back to then defensive line, defensive tackle even is probably what you need to do at 30. But
I just I'm a little bit reluctant to say it because we've just played this one note for years in a row. I wonder about what the impact is, the benefit of the defensive tackle versus Ibuka from Ohio State versus a top wide receiver. Not that the guy's going to be great, but that's kind of interesting to me. Myles Garrett is not going to happen until when at the earliest. This Browns guy cannot just sort of grandstand about how he's not going to trade Garrett and then do it right after. Your take is eventually they'll feel like they have to, but that's not coming anytime soon. Maybe the draft.
I think the draft is probably the earliest that you get, unless a team like the Bills wants so badly to make it happen that they throw in extra stuff to but I don't think you're going to have that definitive answer until you get closer to the draft, and maybe not even by then.
He's got no reason to be so obstinate about Garrett if he's really planning on, wink, wink, going in the other direction anytime soon. He's going to take that. It's going to be a standoff because it's not that often that the team sounds as definitive. It doesn't have to. The fans don't need him to be no, we would never. They don't need him to be you're Cleveland. The right approach in terms of the public, if you run the Cleveland Browns, would be we will consider everything. Okay? Do you want to know the history? You already know it. If you need me to tell you, I will tell you. This is what we're dealing with. It would be short-sighted, to say the least, to not consider all the options. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, what do you mean trade him? What's the question? Who's calling? I don't care. What are they offering? I don't care. I'm not, they're dug in.
And now Garrett is saying, what is Zach saying in the updates here? The news today is
not going to do extension.
He's not talking extension there. So that's
that's going to the summer.
That's a move. Yeah, it may be.
And if you're the Bills or a half a dozen other teams that might want him, well, you better get to know Plan B, buddy.
Right. Well, I think it is right now. I don't know who would be setting gambling odds on this. I might bet that's right. I think financially it makes more sense for everyone if it goes into the summer. The team acquiring him might be able to create June 1st room. The Browns can then divide it up, although you can make those trades and designate them as June 1 and let that sit and still get that benefit, I think. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, it might ride there. The reason the draft is significant as a signpost, though, is if the Browns want something now, that's the time to get it. If they make this deal in the summer, after months of saying we're not going to do it, and then make it, well, they're making it for stuff that is not going to help them until 2026. And that's tough. That can be tough. I don't know how much patience the owner has. How much time does everybody have there? Is that going to work for them? They can talk as tough as they want. But if they wait, maybe it'll be beneficial because this draft isn't as rich and they'll do better having more picks in future drafts. But all I know is they're not going to have assets to help them now if they wait. And so
fine.
There could be some urgency depending on timelines there. Again, how impatient, if at all, is the owner about the whole thing? Is he going to walk into Andrew Berry's office one day I appreciate you talking tough and defending us and all this, but you got to do something.
Yeah, well, he might or might not know that answer right now. We can talk about this some more. 803-0550, the number. We'll be with you with phone lines open until 6, at which time Sabres pregame at Carolina. Tonight, 7 o'clock game, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Got
In Bulldog's last commentary, he asked about betting on like a position in the draft or just what will happen in the draft. And I only looked at DK Horse, but I don't see anything of that sort here at DK Horse right now. But I'm logged in. We got Sam tomorrow. Scared money don't make money. So I could see a bet on a horse in my very near future. I could see it happening.
Good luck with that.
Oh, I'm going to need it. I am going to need it.
I prefer not to forecast that or think about it. I just like when the text comes in because Uncle Rico said, hey, the 5th in Tampa or something. Like, okay, all right. I'll act on it then.
It was about whether you could get odds on Myles Garrett being traded, I think,
right,
is what you were wondering about. Looks not on this site.
No, I would think not. Maybe you'd probably got to go offshore for something like that, and even then.
Sadly, it appears we have realized which movie comes up first on Gene Hackman's obituary. Dead at the age of 95, mysteriously, with his wife and dog. The French Connection, as
I'm claiming victory here.
We thought that.
Yeah. We're claiming victory on that. Yeah,
that you win an Oscar, it's like your breakout.
Yeah, even I say, like, I read a number of obituaries today, and even ones that don't mention the movie, the lead is Oscar winner. And so that's a reference to the French. He won Oscars twice, that and the Unbreakable? Unforgiven, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I saw a tweet from a friend earlier that said something along the lines of, like, his whole career, like all the different roles, he always kind of looked the same age.
Yeah.
And I think I read that The French Connection, which was his breakthrough role, I don't know what he was in prior to that, was made when he was already in his 30s, like maybe 35 years old.
Yep.
So that works. Like, if he was active for 30 years, between 35 and 65, like, you can get if you're bald to begin with, or balding to begin with, it's going to work for you. Like, you're not going to look like you've really aged that much.
That's right.
So that could explain how he pulled that off. But yeah, what a tremendous talent.
My two favorite Gene Hackman movies are No Way Out and Superman. Miss Tessmacher. First nice car I ever bought. I named it Miss Tessmacher. Not in honor of Gene Hackman exactly.
Yeah.
But she was one of his assistants. And I thought deserving of having a car named after her. Yeah. I thought Miss Tessmacher. You got to put Hoosiers on the short list, too.
Yeah. Have you ever seen French Connection?
No. Yeah. I think I'd like it. I want to see The Conversation, which is another of his earlier big movies. I've never seen. I've always wanted to see that movie, but for some reason just haven't.
Yeah.
That'll have to change.
French Connection is tremendous.
Bills and the draft, the Sabres and the Hurricanes. Your thoughts are welcome here, 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after sports here on WGR.
Testing is well underway over in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine. Today is the defensive linemen and linebackers with television coverage over on the NFL Network. Some guys who are not participating today, namely on the defensive line, Michigan D tackle Kenneth Grant. He is dealing with a hamstring strain, while Marshall's edge rusher Mike Green is dealing with hamstring tightness. Around the rest of the NFL, the Chiefs have placed the franchise tag on guard Trey Smith. It's going to see him have a one-year, $23.4 million deal that is fully guaranteed, but multiple reports do have the Chiefs hoping to get a long-term deal done with Smith. Reports out of Cleveland.com have Myles Garrett unwilling to negotiate a contract extension with his current club, and that his agent has, quote, slammed the door shut on any discussions. But speaking about the offseason, the salary cap is officially set for the 2025 season. It will be $279.2 million. In hockey, the Sabres are in action tonight. They're on the road to take on Carolina. It is a Whalers night for the Hurricanes. Pregame coming up in an hour at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. And then one note for the Sabres, Jason Zucker is questionable and was not an optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, it'll be Sam Lafferty who will draw into the lineup. And then around the rest of the NHL, very busy night tonight. 11 other games in action, some notables. Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town. Both those games also getting underway at 7. 7:30 sees Flyers in Pittsburgh against the Penguins, and then 2 games at 10 will wrap up your evening. Ducks host Vancouver, and Vegas has Chicago in town. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
If you wrap foil around that, just like the little bit of the base part of the banana where the fruit is, wrap foil around that top and they will last longer.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who needs your bananas to last longer, though?
Look, I don't want to go to the store every other day for bananas.
They're 8 cents each.
What the hell are you talking about? What is going on?
You're going to wrap them in foil?
They're better when they're just a little green. Yeah.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Too much work.
Not that much trouble.
Too much work.
Says the guy that's got a spreadsheet with 3,000 fantasy teams.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
How dare you? Okay. At least, you know, I'm not going to hide from it. An interesting hockey game tonight. Sabres and the Hurricanes will be dressed up like the Whalers, which imagine how that would feel if the Bills or Sabres had ever left. And the people that took them for fun down the road just dressed up like the Bills or the Sabres. I think we would hate maybe nothing more than that. But that's what tonight's game will look like. Hartford, like which Hartford?
I think green. The original green, like the bright green.
No,
I guess I want. I don't know.
Olive green, I want to say. Hartford? Ooh. Not the blue.
No, not the blue.
That was better.
I didn't like the blue.
No? Okay.
I always liked the green. Boy, I don't know.
Olive green.
Olive. I don't see olive there. It's like day glow olive or something. Like bright olive. If it were a car color, it would be bright olive metallic. I don't know.
Not too different, but in a cool way from Miss Tessmacher, who we were just talking about. Whatever.
Yeah, I think I don't remember how. I don't think if before HDTV and these idiots wearing these jerseys from the team they stole on HDTV, I would have referred to it as that bright. But it's brighter. It looks brighter than I remember it.
It's different. It is brighter. It's different.
Is that what it is? Okay.
The original Whalers. Look up. Who do you want?
Kevin Dineen.
Look up Mike Rogers.
I don't even know who that is. I don't remember Mike Rogers. Sounds like a made-up name.
Mike Rogers, Blaine Stoughton, like early Hartford NHL. That's just like sort of a ugly kind of drab green jersey. What they've done, not surprisingly, what they've done here is they've sort of brightened it.
Yes.
With the blue stripes.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice, but it's also like, how would that feel to the... You can't do that, right? You can't do that.
The whole operation is offensive to me. I think, and I felt this way. I don't know. Remember when they first started doing this? But one of my best friends and I became friends with this dude when I lived in Connecticut between 88 and 90. The huge Whalers fan, and they left, and he just stopped watching hockey, like the NHL anyway. He just all right, I'm done. And
respect.
Yeah, and he didn't become a Bruins fan. He didn't start liking the Islanders or something. Like, kind of like the position we might have been in if the Bills had moved to Toronto. He's like, no, I'm done. You took my team. I'm out. And I've always thought of him when the Hurricanes do this. There's no way my buddy Harris appreciates this in any way, shape, or form. Even now, all these years later, at least I would expect. I haven't talked to him about it, but I would be stunned if he was like, "Oh, the Sabres are playing the Hurricanes, and they're wearing the old Whalers gear. Cool." I can't really fathom that happening. I feel like there was a point in time, the first time I saw the Clippers wearing the Braves gear, where I thought, oh, cool. But now I deeply regret ever having thought that was cool, because I like being dug in on the, get out of here. You don't get to wear the gear of the team you stole.
That's an interesting comparison, because that didn't offend me. And I'm not sure why. It could be that I was not old enough to know the Braves. Like, I never saw the Braves before they left. So, like, they're ancient history to me.
Yep.
It could be that we have the Bills and the Sabres. So, unlike Hartford, I've got teams and I'm good.
Yeah, that was their only pro sports thing ever. They're like Yankees, Giants, Jets, Red Sox. They're in no man's land, Hartford.
Yeah. So it could be that. I doubt it gets that deep, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always hated Carolina. And part of it goes back to not just to the playoffs, but it goes back to, like, taking the Whalers, which the people of North Carolina had nothing to do with. They're just there.
Right.
So it's not that. It's just sort of not right to me, but it feels old-fashioned. You know? It feels...
Yeah.
Because businesses move.
Yes.
Teams move.
Yeah. I just think you should not be allowed to do that. I know, like, well, I want to say your heart's in the right place. Your heart's not in the right. You're trying to sell stuff to your fans. I already have 3 Hurricanes jerseys. I guess I'll buy one of these Hartford ones. So that's the motivation. Somewhere in there's a hat tip and a nod to, your past and wanting to pay tribute to that. But it's all about selling the junk. And I just don't think you should be allowed to do it.
Who's the all-time Whaler?
Ray Ferraro.
Ray Ferraro.
I don't know how long he played there even.
You're going to say Ron Francis, right?
Yeah. I feel like those...
He's a Penguin, though, to me.
I feel like those, like Dineen, Verbeek, Francis... Ferraro did spend some time there, didn't he?
He did.
Okay.
I guess. But to me, he's an Islander.
They're all somewhat the same guy to me. Like, I can differentiate them because Ferraro's on TV now.
Short wingers.
Short, some mustache, and just kind of annoying visors, and jabbing you, but none of them were really fighters. Boy, Dineen was really annoying.
He killed the Sabres, is what he did. He was the guy who always scored against the Sabres, Kevin Dineen.
Right.
Do you think you could name their top 10 in points?
Ooh.
Including Carolina?
Ooh, including Carolina? No. I mean, eventually, yes, but there'd be a pile of misses, I'm sure. But including Carolina, Eric Stahl is probably the leader amongst both franchises.
Second to Francis.
Okay.
I mean, Francis, that's most of his career.
Yeah.
He was a great Leaf, of course, but and Penguin, but that's most of his career. So he's easily 1. Stahl is 2. Sebastian Aho has been there long enough now to be 3. Dineen, Brindamore, Jordan Stahl, Jeff O'Neill.
Okay.
That's mostly Hartford, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's where he was drafted. Pretty high pick, too.
Teravainen, Verbeek, Jeff Skinner.
Wow.
That's the top 10 all-time.
How far do you got to go to get to Zarli Zalapski?
Farther. I only have 10 names here.
Yeah, all right, it's fine. I don't need to know. I just wanted to say Zarley Zalewski.
Mike Rogers, first in points per game.
I don't remember this guy at all.
It's early. Do you remember when the league expanded to the WHA teams and what that felt like? Because I really don't. Like, I loved Edmonton pretty early after they were in the league with Gretzky. I mean, they were good. They were pretty. Probably that was enough for me. But I don't remember exactly, the league before that.
I definitely remember the league before it, but I don't remember having a reaction, positive or negative, about those teams coming in. So I don't. What year was it?
80, 79-80.
Okay,
79-80 was the first year.
I'm not a little kid. I'm 15 years old, 14 years old,
right,
when that starts. But I don't remember. I don't remember a reaction.
Edmonton, Winnipeg, Hartford, Quebec.
I might have just thought, cool, more teams. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't have been thinking about thinning the talent pool or anything. Like, I just said anything in depth whatsoever. No. So no, I don't really recall a reaction to it.
This Rogers scored 40 goals his first 2 years for Hartford, then went on to the Rangers.
This is not some nobody. I just don't remember the name at all.
Well, it's a uncommon name. Mike Rogers.
That's the problem. It's it's such a regular name that it doesn't stand out. Whereas, like, it's hard to forget Pat Verbeek.
That's right. It is.
Or like
I believe that.
Ray Ferraro.
I agree with.
Those are just
Verbeek is a great name.
Notable names.
That's not a name you forget. 8 games for Edmonton at the end of his career. I might have to remember that for Immaculate Grid purposes.
Verbeek. Wow.
Rogers.
Rogers. Sorry, still on this Rogers.
He won the Deneau Award.
I don't know what that is.
That's the Paul Deneau Trophy for gentlemanly conduct in the WHA.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, good
Paul
for
Deneau.
Him. Good for him.
Welcome to the show, Paul Deneau.
Who knew?
Mike is next. Hello, Mike.
Yes, hi. I just want to bring up that, going back to the jersey conversation, you've got the LA Clippers bringing back the Buffalo Braves jerseys from the early to mid-'70s. I think if enough time passes, does Buffalo not forgive and actually bring back and utilize those jerseys back, in our everyday situations when it comes to jerseys?
In what way do you mean? Like, we don't have an NBA team. Do you mean just fans embracing it? Because I think plenty of fans of basketball wear Braves jerseys around.
So in the same way that the Hartford Whalers lost their team, and you've got people coming back and wearing those jerseys.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm not sure. I don't really like.
The difference in years is like, well, it's significant. It's like 20 years from when the Braves left to the Whalers. It's a little bit less than 20 years, right? 78 to 96, 97?
It's close to that, yeah.
So maybe that's enough. I don't know why it feels different. I said that. Like, I'm not sure what it is. But when the Braves thing happened with the Clippers, I thought it was really cool.
I thought that too, but now the way the Whaler thing offended me, I'm not sure why either. I'm not as young as you, so, I mean, I went to Braves games.
Thank you, by the way.
All right? I mean, I watched McAdoo and Randy Smith and, like, all that. I remember having a fit in the playoffs against the Celtics and getting scolded by my parents because I overreacted to foul calls and stuff, just whatever.
Is that right?
I can't, that legendary Celtics-Braves series where there's the officiating at the end of it was really controversial, and I don't have all the names memorized anymore. I could take a swing at the name of the official. There's a friend of mine I'm positive is going to text me in like 20 seconds. Daryl Garrettson?
Yes, that's
okay, that's it.
That's it.
Radka, don't text me. I got there. I was reluctant to take a swing, but anyway.
That's it.
That all happened, and like foul shots, and I threw something like at the like an article of clothing at the TV, and it knocked something off of the TV, and I got sent to my room. I was too wound up.
You got sent to your room. Has this ever happened to you out there? You get sent to your room for being too violent.
Sure.
About a game you were watching on TV.
Emotional.
Too emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't.
That did not happen.
I didn't get sat down and get a talk about appropriate reactions. I just got kicked out. That's how my parents. That's how it went back then. There was no trying to understand why does he care so much. Why is he having such a visceral reaction to this foul call? Now, get out of here. You're done.
You're stressing me out.
It's over. You don't get to see the end. I mean, it was the end. I mean, they lost.
It was pretty much the very end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was that their last year? No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they left town on that note. But anyway,
to their credit, they showed back up for another year.
The point was, initially, I thought the same. The Clippers are wearing the stuff like that. Okay, that's nice to see that. That brings back memories. And I didn't feel scorned about it. But for some reason, when the Whalers when the Whalers gear was being worn by Carolina, then I wanted a do-over on that because that made me mad. Even though not because of my friend necessarily. I mean, I liked thinking of him for this, but it's not like that's so deep that offended me in a way that the Braves leaving didn't. It just made me want to retroactively revisit the idea of the Clippers wearing the Braves gear, and now I don't like it anymore. Just cut it out. It's not okay. The Oilers the Titans rolling in to Houston to play the Texans in the Oilers gear?
Bad.
What are you doing? This is one of the most brazen offenses in the history of uniforms. It's just gross. We left. Yeah, sure. You had a rally to try to save the team, and there were 9 senior citizens there, and it was really embarrassing. It was tough times in Houston. But still, you do not roll back into town wearing the legendary Earl Campbell Bum Phillips Love Ya Blue Blues to play the Houston Texans.
That sounds right.
You deserve scorn.
Scorn. Shame. Shame. Ring the bell. Worst uniform offense. The Titans wearing Oilers jerseys in Houston against the Texans. The Sabres wearing that yellow jersey ever.
Right.
Which was worse?
The two-sided thing?
Which was the worst? Which was the worst crime?
I got to go with the Houston thing.
Okay.
Because those jerseys were an atrocity. It was a horrible design and therefore was offensive looking, but there was no ill intent there. There was no, they weren't rolling into, it's different. They're horrible on their own, but it's a different class.
Sports could use a little bit more spark.
So you want to work yourself into being okay with the Titans wearing those Houston Oiler uniforms in Houston?
It's edgy.
Yeah.
Right? We don't care. We're just focused on winning. We don't care. No, it doesn't feel right.
No, it's terrible.
But I do like, a little bit of edge there in sports. You want to not lose that entirely.
I just think people care so. You're not necessarily saying different. People care so much about these teams, and to have that taken away and then roll back it. Look at us wearing your stuff. I don't have enough middle fingers. Just
listen.
get out of here.
I'm with your friend Harris. If the Sabres go ever, I'm gone. I've got nothing left for that league without them. Sure, it was a good Four Nations face-off. Was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's teetering already. It's 14 years since a playoff game. If they go, what am I going to do? Wednesday nights on True TV? Watch Utah? That's just never going to happen. Ryan is next. Hello, Ryan.
Yes. So my guess is you guys were talking about how, when the Clippers did it, how basically, that didn't bother you, and then it did, but Carolina did.
Yeah.
Could it just be that, the Clippers don't mean much to Buffalo because we haven't had a team, and they haven't really been that relevant for, the 90s, the 80s, but the Carolina Hurricanes, we hate them for, obviously, the
Yeah.
Finals and just a whole plethora. So I was just wondering if it's maybe like a personal thing to like it bothered me more with Carolina just because I don't know about you guys specifically, but I really just don't like them because of that, and maybe that just made it worse. I don't know.
I would have to cop to at least a lot, if not all of that. I think it's also the time does matter. It's relevant. Sure, I was aware of the Braves. Yes, I went to Braves games as a little kid. But they left, and I can't even remember being that brokenhearted about it. I think by then I was already a bigger Sabres fan and Bills fan anyways. The Braves were the third of the triumvirate there for me. And I don't remember, I guess I wasn't old enough to even realize that I'd been scorned. I just, it didn't register the way it would now. And all the reasons that went into it and everything. Whereas now I feel like, much more, I don't know if evolved is right. I'm just more aware. When you're a little kid, like it's gone. Okay, it's gone. All right. What else is on? Kind of for me then. And I don't know, maybe if I'd been older than I was, it would have stung more. Like if I were in my 20s, maybe like my buddy Harris with the Whalers, maybe that would have stung more. Because I didn't stop watching basketball. I watched all through the 80s and Jordan and into the 90s. I was, really paying attention to, I'd go home and watch a basketball game if there weren't a hockey game on. And that's changed over the years too. I don't know. I'm not sure I can really nail it down. But the way the Hurricanes being, a rival, an organization that took something from the Sabres, I wouldn't deny that being a part of me hating them wearing the Whalers stuff.
It isn't anything for me. I mean, I share some of that sentiment, but it's more just like you got away with it, Carolina. It has nothing to do with the Sabres and the Hurricanes for me. You got away with it. You got the franchise. You can't put the clothes on. It's just, to me, like that's not you. You've got your team, rebrand. It's been almost 30 years or about 30 years. I feel like you really can't just put the clothes on, Somebody died wearing that. The players, the team, the franchise died wearing that.
Yeah.
You're not going to take the clothes off a dead. Anyway, no, I'm against it. I'm against it. 803-0550. Thank you, Ryan. Sabres and Hurricanes, who will be dressed like the Whalers, if you're old enough to remember what that looked like. 6 o'clock pregame when Paul Hamilton joins us. This is WGR.
We know you can.
for the NFL Combine has finally gotten underway. Today it is the defensive linemen and linebackers with television coverage over on NFL Network currently going on right now. The second group of defensive linemen are running the 40-yard dash. Some guys, though, on the defensive line not participating in the on-field testing. Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant with a hamstring strain, and Marshall's edge rusher Mike Green also dealing with a hamstring injury, though his just appears to be some tightness. The Chiefs have placed the franchise tag on guard Trey Smith. That's going to be a one-year, $23.4 million deal, fully guaranteed. Multiple reports, though, also have the Chiefs hoping to get a long-term deal done with Smith. And speaking of money, the 2025 salary cap is official, $279.2 million. Over in hockey, Sabres are in action. They're on the road to take on Carolina, who will be wearing their former Whalers jerseys. Puck drop at 7. Pregame coming up in just about a half hour at 6. One note for the Sabres, though. Jason Zucker is questionable. He was not at optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, all signs point to Sam Lafferty drawing into the lineup. And then some notable games. Tonight's a busy night in the NHL, 11 other games. Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town. Both those games also going to get underway at 7. At 7:30, Flyers are in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. And then 2 games at 10 will wrap up your evening. Ducks host Vancouver, and then Vegas has Chicago in town. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Dierks Bentley is coming to Buffalo this summer. We have your chance to win your way in. Be caller 5 at 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. To win a pair of tickets to see Dierks Bentley, Zach Top, and the band Lula at Darien Lake Amphitheater Thursday, August 14th, courtesy of Live Nation. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at 10 at Ticketmaster.com. Will I see you there for that one? You love your live music.
I got a very full schedule. I got a full schedule. There's a lot happening.
August is pretty jammed.
Good show. Yeah. There's really now till the foreseeable future, which includes August. There's a lot of good shows coming. So I'm going to be busy.
Put the jacket on.
I'm going to have to.
Gearing up for this game.
I was going to say your saber jack, but that's not a saber jack. It's a fleece, but still.
Is it a fleece?
Yeah.
It's a jacket.
Isn't it fleecy? I always thought it was fleecy. Oh, no, it's not. I thought it was a quarter zip fleece.
It's a sweatshirt with a jacket, with a zipper.
Yeah. All right.
A sweatshirt with a jacket. It's a sweatshirt with a zipper. You ever have with your kids where they said a word wrong and you just let them?
No, we punished our children
because it was just too funny.
Any and all mistakes.
It was just too funny to not let them go with it. For years, it was my daughter with sweatshwert. Nice. We just decided to let her go. And I think for my son, it was when he asked for medicine, he would ask for the ibuprofen.
All right.
Like, all right. I'll get you some. Because I'd say it back to them. Yeah. I didn't want them to lose, that youthful something. Je ne sais quoi.
There was a commercial jingle that they that played on the station that I can't remember what it was now, that they mixed up the words to, and we used to love when they would sing it. If we were in the car, we heard the ad, and they would start singing it. That was hilarious. Yeah. But they knew that they were. They were making a joke at that point.
They knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just maybe let's just put this one on me. I don't want my wife to get the shade.
There is a song. There was a new to them song at the time by a band called Rants that I really like that was called Junkie Man, and they always thought the singer was saying Chunky Man.
Oh yeah,
instead of Junkie Man.
I like that more.
Chunky Man, tell me what the story is.
Here's Ed with us. Hello, Ed.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for calling.
Hey, I was just following up on your Buffalo Braves discussion. I vacation in a southern Adirondack town and have time at a resort that is frequented by the former Buffalo Braves GM Norm Sanju. Mm-hmm. And not only has he constructed at this place a mini Buffalo Braves museum from all sorts of artifacts that he brought with him and kept with him from his time with the Braves, but also somehow secured the All-Star Game floor from his first season as president of the Dallas Mavericks. Which is a really cool thing. Which is a really cool thing to play on when you're on vacation. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. My father-in-law was a bartender in Kenmore, and we tried to give him a space as kind of a mini celebrity. And my father-in-law walked up to him one day and shot the bull with him, and ended up getting a tour of his home, which I guess had another 30 or 40 pieces of memorabilia. Really cool guy, and still alive, and keeping that memory of the Buffalo Braves strong up in this little remote town in the Southern Adirondacks.
Okay. Cool deal. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks,
Norm
Ed.
Sanju, welcome to the show today.
Here's Wayne next. Hi, Wayne.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Good,
Can
thanks.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you, Wayne. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. As far as the Hartford Whalers are concerned, I saw a gentleman with a Hartford Whalers jersey on when I was in Wegmans the other day, and I tried to catch his attention, but I couldn't. I wanted to tell him that I thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the Braves are concerned, I actually have a Buffalo Braves sweater, the hoodie, with all of the players on the back. And I missed the team, and I really, really wish they would have stayed. It broke my heart. I was 7 years old.
All right, Wayne. Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Cool to have the gear. We've got. I think it ended up in Owen's possession, but I had a T-shirt with the logo, the Braves logo, for a long time. I saw him wearing it recently, and I don't think he bought his own. I think somehow it just ended up there.
There's black and orange, and there's light blue.
Right.
I think I'm partial to the light blue.
I never had any of the light blue gear. I liked the look of it plenty, but the logo that I had was the orange and black stuff.
All right.
And that's what, I don't know, have the Clippers ever worn, does anyone know if they ever worn the blue? I've seen them in the orange and black. Kawhi Leonard, I remember wearing the orange and black.
I think when they moved, they wore that color.
Okay.
San Diego and then L.A., I think they were like light blue and red. I mean, I'm not sure it was exactly like the Braves.
Yeah, but light blue rings a bell for them early. But I don't know if they ever wore like a Braves tribute that was the light blue.
Don't know. I'm usually not up that late.
No. Or watching the Clippers. If you are up that late.
No, that's right. If I am, last night I was up that late. Actually, I was.
I feel like that's just the kind of thing we would have seen. Like if it's ever happened, within 5 minutes, somebody's going to tweet us a picture of someone wearing that light blue Braves jersey for the Clippers. Yeah,
I was up that late last night, and I was watching Super Bowl 11.
Of course you were.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of that.
See, now I thought you were reading your baseball prospectus.
I was more listening to John Facenda narrate the highlights of Super Bowl 11, really in his peak years, 76 season. But yes, I was reading mostly. That's right. Thank you. That's right. That's accurate.
You got to pay better attention to your studies, Michael. If you're you can't be watching TV while you're reading if you expect to retain what you're reading. You want to pass the test or not?
That's exactly right, and it is normally how I operate. Like, it can't be two shows at once, or a book and a podcast or something like that, because then it'll just get noisy. It's got to be music and, a book or whatever. Yes.
And John Facenda can be
but
musical.
He's music.
Right. Right.
That's what I was going to say.
We both raced to the same spot.
That's music to me. Like, that's not... I've watched it 50 times, maybe 100. So I don't need... I'm not paying close attention. It just sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a lullaby. Those old NFL films, shows are like that for me. Classical music behind it, Sam Spence. That's what that is.
That works.
Trivia. Who is the last player to start at quarterback for the Bills other than Josh Allen?
There's a trick in here somewhere. Derek Anderson.
No. In fact, Derek Anderson is 3 quarterbacks ago. There were 2 others after Derek Anderson, before Allen's start that started the streak he's still on. He started games before these games, but then he was injured.
Right. Right. And Peterman went back in.
Peterman is also not the last, though.
Right. Huh.
Peterman started the week before this game that someone else started before Allen returned for a game against Jacksonville.
When was Jeff Toole? I know it's not right.
Was not Jeff Toole. Jeff Toole was under Marone.
There were some moments there. Tool time. Tool time. He had his fans.
I did a hit on Washington State local news
because Jeff Toole was playing quarterback for the Bills.
Live on the local news
right.
was Buffalo radio host Mike Schopp talking about Jeff Toole. Was he Eastern Washington or whatever he was? That was big.
Yeah.
There.
I'm avoiding the question because I'm stalling. I'm trying to think of the answer.
You know what about this question? I think you would agree. This is one you should know, right? Who was the last Bills quarterback to start a game before Josh Allen did in the streak he's on?
I don't know. I do not have it.
Matt Barkley.
I'm going to be so mad. Okay, sure.
Matt Barkley.
Your guy. You loved Matt Barkley.
I did love Matt Barkley. I might still. November 11th, 2018, 41-10 win at the Jets.
Keep him in. He might be good.
Yes. Let's keep going.
He wasn't a high pick. He's never gotten a chance. He might be good.
Right. I believe in that. He was good that day.
I respect the theory, but I never thought he had a chance of being good.
No, he threw too many interceptions for your taste. But so did Allen for a while. That stopped. Barkley, the Bills' 7-point underdogs, November 11th, 2018, at the Jets, won by 31, outright, against the Jets and their starting quarterback, Josh McCown. What a game that would have been.
Love the McCowns.
I don't think I worked. I don't remember that game, watching it. But Bills won, obviously.
You definitely reacted to it. I remember that.
Barkley?
Yeah.
I liked him already. I just sort of thought.
No, there was a C.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds right. One of these guys that you said it already. Nobody's invested, so you go ahead and draft Josh Allen at 7th overall. He's going to play. I mean, you're not going to just test Matt Barkley. You're just going to play guys until Allen is healthy, which is what they did.
Right.
And, that didn't go badly. It did not ultimately go badly, that approach. So Matt Barkley is the last one. Sabres pregame at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
More of Schopp
One thing that I was reminded of last night in the wee hours reading my baseball prospectus is that, believe it or not, last year, a player by the name of Shohei Ohtani, coming off Tommy John surgery, hit 54 home runs and stole 59 bases. And in the game where he hit the 50th homer, he went 6 for 6 with 3 homers against the Marlins.
I remember that happening.
I do too, but it had been a while since I thought about it. And we probably should discuss that every day.
That actually happened?
Yes. That seems like that's worthy of daily discussion. Ohtani's season last year.
I don't know. I gotta find time for quarterbacks' hand sizes.
Well,
there is that.
The days aren't that long.
It is,
They're getting longer.
You fit it in there.
That's pretty insane.
Yes.
That is not a season anybody really would have ever conceived of. That a guy who pitched,
right,
and got hurt pitching, so he had surgery and was rehabbing his Tommy John surgery last year, went ahead and hit 54 homers and stole 59 bases.
It makes me think that it's really too bad. It's incredible that he did that while being injured enough to not be able to do the other thing that makes him so amazing. It's a shame that he couldn't have gone and won 15 games and had like an ERA under 3 or something.
Won the Cy Young
in the process
MVP?
of doing all of that. That would have been all right. Why? I mean, a pitcher shouldn't win MVP. There's a Cy Young for that. You just win it all. Just win everything. We're done with that argument about the Cy Young being the pitcher's version of the MVP.
If he throws like 150 innings this year and has a low ERA, all the right metrics, could he win comeback player of the year after a year where he hit 54 home runs?
Oh, boy. I don't know what the criteria are for that award. Maybe, though.
Maybe.
Comeback pitcher of the year? They don't have that specifically.
I don't think they do, but maybe that would make sense that he would win that.
Yeah.
How many baseball Hall of Famers have you talked to in your life?
Oh, boy.
You think it's more than 10?
Boy, that's a good number.
Bench,
right.
Reggie.
I talked to Bob Feller with Tom Bowerly, and I interviewed Bob Feller.
I met Feller. Wasn't on the air, but I've spoken with Bob Feller. 3. I have Gibson.
Yeah, I don't have that. That was a card signing or something?
Jersey, yeah.
Jersey.
Card show.
Card show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love that story.
I don't know now. Like under 10.
You need to see a list?
I would need to see a list. I can't recall,
Sparky? For any reason? Would you have ever spoken with Sparky Anderson?
Yes.
Lasorda?
Yes. Sparky Anderson was a Doug Young morning show get with Bowerly also, like Bob Feller was.
There's another one.
Yeah.
Good, lucky guess by me.
Yeah. Joe Morgan, no.
I spoke with Manny Sanguillen once. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but cool name.
Yes, very cool name.
He was difficult with me. It was a signing at a Pirates game. He was outside, like at a table before a Pirates game, and I shouldn't say difficult, but I think I asked him about facing Gibson, and however I put it, he got sort of hot. It's like, no, it's not. He sort of like, whatever it was, that's how he reacted to me.
He objected to the way you phrased the question.
Something, Sanguillen. He didn't like something about what I said.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to make a list, see how many more I can think of.
No, it doesn't count.
Ripken?
No.
I don't think I have Ripken.
No. I saw, sitting at a coffee shop, outside a coffee shop in Cooperstown, I walked past Harmon Killebrew sitting there, but I did not interact with him. I was just terrified. Like, he just looked like one of the fiercest people I'd ever seen in my life. Like that, the hair, the ball, like he looked like an eagle to me. I looked like I was walking past a human eagle. I was like, that was Harmon Killebrew. Yeah, I know. Keep walking.
Well, you see, it came so close to being able to count for this list.
I know,
but just not quite.
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Oh boy, yeah. Who was the pitcher that threw the Bobby Thompson home run?
Ralph Branca. Not in the Hall of Fame.
No, there's another guy that was
Ralph Branca's son-in-law is Bobby Valentine.
Okay. There's another guy that was on that team that was my friend David's favorite player. My friend David's father's favorite player.
On the Dodgers?
On the Brooklyn Dodgers.
50s Dodgers?
That we saw on that same trip to Cooperstown.
Okay.
And he got that guy's autograph, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer either.
Carl Erskine.
Yeah.
Bam.
That's it. I've told this story before. Maybe that's why you have it. But
maybe.
Yeah.
He was a pitcher. That's why I guess Carl Erskine.
Carl Erskine. That was it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're sort of pawing at it here.
Yeah. Right.
Trying to get to
like
10.
A cat that can't figure out if he wants to play with the ball or not.
I'm blindfolded. I'm just reaching for Hall of Famer names. Maybe I'm going to hit one.
I don't know. Yeah. No.
The Sabres are in Raleigh, North Carolina for a game against the Hurricanes. If they win, maybe we get a little bit of energy going. They've been on a pretty good roll. Paul Hamilton is there. We will talk to Paul about tonight's game coming back as our pregame show coverage begins. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
We know you can't hear every moment
Off the top from Paul Hamilton, who is in Raleigh as the Buffalo Sabres take on the Carolina Hurricanes on Whalers night. Puck drop at 7. One note from this morning for the Sabres, Jason Zucker is questionable. He was not at the optional skate this morning. If he cannot go, all signs are pointing to Sam Lafferty, who will draw into tonight's lineup. Around the rest of the league, a very busy night. 11 other games on the schedule. Some of the notables, Boston hosts the Islanders, and the Red Wings have Columbus in town, both at 7. Flyers are in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins at 7:30. And then we'll wrap up 2 games at 10. Ducks host Vancouver, and Vegas has Chicago in town. To the NFL, the on-field testing finally began for the NFL Combine over in Indianapolis. First day is defensive linemen and linebackers, television coverage over on the NFL Network. 2 guys who have not been able to participate today due to injuries, Michigan defensive tackle Kenneth Grant with a hamstring strain, and Marshall's edge rusher Mike Green with hamstring tightness. And then the 2025 salary cap is officially set. It will be $279.2 million. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of business. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Flagship station in Buffalo. Here's your host, Schopp and the Bulldog.
The Sabres have won 6 of 7 and have looked naturally pretty good doing it, up to and including their last outing Tuesday night in a 3-2 comeback win over Anaheim, tonight at Carolina. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Paul Hamilton will join us shortly. With these wins, all the Sabres have been able to do is shorten the deficit between themselves and the rest of the East. They are still not out of last place in the conference. 2 points behind Pittsburgh with 4 games in hand. Looks okay, but there's a lot more work to do than just pass the Penguins. Buffalo, 24-32, 24-27 and 553 points. What is that? That's 11 back of the team currently holding the last playoff spot in the East. That's Columbus. Not insurmountable, not likely, but again, they've been playing pretty well. 26 games to go. Goal differential, not terrible, -7. Carolina, tonight's opponent at home, 33-25, 70 points, tied for second in the Metro. How good is Carolina? Are they real good? They're not real good.
I don't think they're real good, but they're good. What's I think really kind of messing them up right now is that they made the big move to get Rantanen, and that is not going well at all. He's got like 3 points in 8 games played for them, and was, I think, pretty clearly shook hard by the trade in the first place, and has just not really gotten his feet under him to such an extent that I think it's credibly worth talking about whether they're going to spin him for something else at the deadline, or between now and next Friday, because it doesn't seem to be working. He's already, I think, turned down a massive contract extension there, so they could be feeling like, all right, our bad. Let's move on, because the player they gave up, Natchez, was a very nice player, and he's fitting right in Colorado. Go figure. So I don't know. It could be also that Rantanen just isn't playing with, one of the very best players in the world anymore, and that is, also hurting his production. But I thought the guy was a very, very good player, and he's just not fitting in Carolina so far.
The Sabres, again, and I think you'd agree, we'll talk about it here with Paul, looked sharp on Tuesday night against the Ducks. It took them a while to get on the scoreboard, but with 3 third-period goals, they end up coming away with the win over Anaheim. Paul joins us now on the West Her hotline from Raleigh. How are things there, Paul? Stop. I had to ask.
Yes.
75. Cut his mic.
Yeah. Well, what did you think, Paul? And I can weigh in here too. Mike mentioned their outing Tuesday. I loved their first period, even though they got the only goal scored against them on a 5-on-3. Pretty cheesy second penalty there that cost them that. The second period looked kind of like just a sinkhole to an extent for both teams. There's just not a lot happening. But boy, the third, they turned it way back up and dominated, I thought.
Yeah, Lindy, I think, said it best. He goes, it looked to me like we thought it was going to be easy in the second period. But if you take the 6 periods they've played since the break, I'd say 5 of them have been as good as they possibly could play. All 3 against the Rangers and 2 that you just spoke of.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've been really, really good. And part of that is I think we're seeing the best we've ever seen out of Rasmus Dahlin recently. Especially that Ranger game, but I don't even think there's any doubt that was the best game I've ever seen him play, and I've seen all but one of his games as a Buffalo Sabres. I had to have surgery once, so I wasn't able to watch that one. But according to the doctor, I guess I woke up too and after the Sabres.
All right, good job, Paul.
It seems like you're on pretty safe ground here, despite having missed one game of his career.
Right. I trust you,
I think you're
Paul.
fine here, Paul.
But yeah, so and that's a good thing. I mean, and I've said this all along as he has struggled through injuries this year. He mentioned after the 2 goal and 2 assist performance that he couldn't shoot the puck. He had a hand injury that prevented him from shooting the puck. That made sense since he hadn't scored a goal since Thanksgiving. Had assists. I think he was second in the league in assists during that time, but he wasn't scoring goals. He couldn't shoot. And it sounds like he's kind of squared away now, that he's feeling much, much better. And to me, what we've seen, Team Sweden, I'll go back that far. I thought he had a really good tournament. And here in Buffalo, the last couple of games, this is the Rasmus Dahlin they thought they were getting when they drafted him.
I think my favorite play of the Anaheim game was Cousins' pass to Peterka for 2-1. They were really rolling there, and it was maybe getting to a point where frustration could have set in there.
Soon. Yeah.
And there's one where Cousins has if it doesn't work out, everybody's on him for passing that puck right from the slot. But it's perfect. It's right to Peterka, who's ready for it, one-timer, bam. And that got him going. Then you get the 2 goals where the Sabres are like picking targets at a carnival or something, that top right corner with almost no room there, Tuck and then Yoki Harju. So nice win.
No, it was a nice win. And, Dylan Cousins had 7 hits. He had, I'm going by memory, I believe it was like 9 shot attempts. Had 3 assists. That is the Dylan Cousins we saw a couple of years ago in many different ways, not just because he had 3 assists and made a big play like you were talking about. He mattered in the game. You noticed him in the game. I wouldn't say it's the best game I've ever seen him play, but I would say probably was pretty close. It's not the best game I've seen him play this year. He was just, and rightfully so, got the first star of the game. I think he deserved it. What was interesting about the goal you just described, it had been a while since Peterka, Cousins, and Quinn had played.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a month and a half at least. And that was their first shift together in the third period. Lindy shifted the lines kind of back to the way they used to be. Tuck was out there. Thompson went to center. Kulik wasn't feeling well, so they took him off the line and put Greenway there. And that line right away, got a great scoring chance. Tuck walked around the defense, created a 2-on-1, perfect pass to Thompson for, a tap-in. It wasn't so much wide open net. The goaltender got across and made a great save. But, they produced a golden opportunity, and then on came the Cousins line for their first shift together, and it's in the net. So it's nice that Lindy Ruff has that in his back pocket, that he has lines that have performed together in the past and have produced together in the past that he can always go back to.
Kulik, was that the puck to the mouth? They showed him on the bench, like after he came back with the visor on, and his face was just like, "Oh, get me out of here."
Was really in a lot of pain once he got to the locker room, but apparently that has subsided. But he still, I believe, he had the gauge on this morning, so I'll say that. I can't guarantee he's going to have a gauge on.
Right.
Or the mask on
The fishbowl. Yeah, right. With all that said, Paul, what do you think the lines will look like tonight? Recognizing that we've got a pretty big variable in Zucker being, unless there's been an update that I've missed, game time. So we'll find out within like maybe the next half an hour or so, or a little longer, depending on what the warm-ups look like. But what do you think, Lindy? What did it look like when they left town yesterday and then also this morning?
Well, I can't tell you because yesterday and today were optionals.
Oh,
but today most of the guys went out there, and we did. You'll hear from Lindy Ruff. We did ask him, and he is going to go back to what they started with. He likes that setup, and really, you think about it. Since December 23rd, when the 13-game streak ended, they lead the NHL in goals, 3.86 or 85 goals per game in those 22 games. So, you look at that, and excuse me, I'm unprofessional here. I had my phone on. You look at that, and, so I think he looked at that and said, well, maybe it wasn't working the other night, but I want to go back to it.
Okay, so that means Peterka back with Kulik at center and Thompson on the wing is what you mean by
Greenway
going back to that. Right.
Greenway with Cousins and Quinn. I didn't think that it sounded too good for Zucker tonight. Lindy goes, he's just not responding right now. So he said he's very questionable. Lafferty did not participate with the other guys who were scratched. So it sounds like maybe Lafferty will wind up in the lineup. Maybe they'll give Zucker a chance to go out there. But, that's 2 days he had a chance to shake it off, and it didn't seem like he had. So I'm not expecting him tonight, but Lindy didn't say for sure. He did say game time decision.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that when the warm-ups get cranked up here. Our Eye on the Blue and Gold is brought to you by Great Lakes Building Systems. We keep an eye on your business so you don't have to. Great Lakes Building Systems, our business is protecting your business.
Zucker not responding, as you put it, Paul not responding to whoever called. That's a delightful ringtone, however, I would say.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was too unprofessional to have that on mute, but I apologize.
You'll be back.
So something else here. They're about to get pretty busy, right? 4 games in pretty short order coming up here, and I know Lindy has talked about, both goalies are going to be used during this stretch, even if it's just one of the 4. Where do you think that lands at this point? And do we know whether it'll be Luukkonen tonight?
Yeah, Luukkonen today, but Lindy said he's using both goaltenders coming up in this stretch, which ends, I believe, March 4th against San Jose. You got this game. You got back-to-back with Montreal. You got San Jose. He said he will be using both goalies before that is over. The Montreal road game and San Jose at home are back-to-back, so I imagine for sure that's going to be where Reimer plays. Maybe is that the only time he plays? I don't know, but I would almost guarantee he will play one of those 2 games.
It's 5 and 8, including tonight.
Right. Montreal is Saturday, and then
at Montreal Monday,
and then Tuesday is San Jose, right?
And then Tampa, in Tampa next Thursday.
Right.
Is that your thoughts on this Carolina team, Paul? What are the Sabres in for?
A team that's struggling, and but you know what? I hate to say that because it seems like every time the Sabres play a team that's struggling, they lose. I mean, the only bad game they've played out of the last 10 where they're 7-3 was Nashville. Buffalo was sitting in Nashville waiting for them. Nashville's in Chicago the night before, loses 6-2 for their 6th straight loss, and come in and pound Buffalo. And I remember Detroit was struggling, and Detroit came from behind and beat them. I remember Colorado came in struggling. They came from behind and beat them. I remember Pittsburgh was struggling. They came in. It just seems like they're better when they face a hot team for whatever. They face a struggling team, and I don't know what happens. They just don't seem to be able to get it together.
Well, hopefully they're, whatever. I don't know what it all means, Paul, but I know this. They've not won a game there since 2016. So whether Carolina's coming in 0 for their last 20, I gotta go pretty far back to find a game where the Sabres won in Carolina.
And even though Buffalo won the last one at home here this year, 4-2, when McLeod had his first career hat trick, Carolina is still 16-3-1 in their last 20 against Buffalo overall.
Pretty low event game, Hurricanes and Montreal. on Tuesday that Montreal won 4-0. Neither team with more than 20 shots on goal in that game. So low event. I mean, the Sabres have not been playing low event hockey. We'll see who kind of dictates this one, Paul.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. Even in the in that first period that you discussed last game, there certainly were plenty of chances. I remember I tweeted at 10:55 into the first period. They, of course, gave up the 5-on-3 goal to fall behind 1-0, and then they absolutely turned it on. The shots were 7-2 on net, but 10:55 into the game, they had already missed the net 9 times and missed the net 12 times in the first period. They hit the post 3 times, and they were down 1-0, but they figured it out. They came back and won it.
Our look at tonight's opponent, the Carolina Hurricanes, by the way, brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. When it's game time, it's Tully time.
Thank you, Paul. I'll be back in touch here in about 25 minutes.
Sounds good. Take care.
Sabres and Canes tonight. We will hear from, as always, a couple of players as we go through pregame coverage. Ryan McLeod, who had that unusual hat trick, getting the third goal without touching the puck. You don't see that a lot. And Owen Power as well as we go. First, though, Lindy Ruff.
Well, Lindy, you going to make any changes today?
We've got be a game time decision, so we'll see.
The Hurricanes' man-on-man defense is really the key there, just operating under pressure and making smart decisions.
Yeah, I think it is a lot about managing the puck, and you have to win some battles. You got to get off the walls. Like I said, I thought last game in our building we did a good job against them, but they're a hard team to play against.
With basically every other day playing, and then you're coming up, you've got the back-to-back with Montreal and San Jose. Coming up, you're going to need both goaltenders, aren't you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're going to get in a stretch. We're going to have to utilize both guys.
How would you assess Samuelsson and Power, how they've done as a pair these last few weeks?
Overall, I think they've played well. We need both guys to break the puck out well, first and foremost. After that, it's defending well, not giving up first when anything inside the zone. But also with as aggressive we've been, try to make sure we're not giving up the high-quality rush opportunities.
Also looked especially the last game, but Samuelsson is starting to use his size a little bit more too in strength.
Yeah, asked him to be more physical, and I think we've seen that. He's ending a lot of plays. He's getting into people, which I think both guys are getting better at. So overall the play has been good.
Is it too soon to know if Yuri's going to have to play the wing with that shield on?
No, I don't think that's a decision on playing the wing with the shield. A little bit of a breathing issue the other night where he couldn't go after a while. But I don't think the shield will limit whether he's a winger or a centerman.
Does he have to wear it, or the doctor's making him wear it?
I don't know if I have the answer to that. I think probably just a little bit of extra protection right now. It's not something I don't believe it's something he has to wear.
You finished with different lines the last game. Are you going to start with those same different lines?
We'll start with the lines the way we had them. We've been going good. I think that sometimes inside of a game you'll flip some things around, but we'll make a decision before the game.
You've played Carolina once, and I'm sure you've been watching film of them too. What are you seeing with the Hurricanes?
Well, some pieces have definitely changed. A little bit of a different look, but the same. Their bulk quality of pucks go to the net. They're one of the best teams of just getting the puck out of their zone in a hurry. None of that has changed. I think we've got to do a good job when we get opportunities to get pucks to the net, getting people there. Got to look for tips and redirections. I thought last game against them we did a quality job in that respect.
What about Connor Clifton? He hasn't been in the lineup in a bit now. Is it because you're winning or something that you'd like him to be better at?
No, I think we've got we really do have 8D that can play. When you look at Connor, his game, he's had some ups and downs just like any defenseman. You look at Bryson, who has played really well too. Anytime he's been in a lineup, involved in too much against and skated well. So we've got a luxury right now of having, some options. If we want to go with more speed, we can put more speed. If we want more physicality, we can, have Gibby and Cliffy in. And he'll be back in here in this stretch where we got all these games. We'll utilize all 8 guys.
Same with Lafferty. Just curious, what have you really wanted to see from his game that maybe hasn't been there? That's led.
I think again, it's a little bit. I look at the Nashville game. It was, a game, I liked, but with Greenway coming back in the lineup and with the way the lines were set up, he's just sort of been the odd man out. We got a decision tonight with one of our players, like I said, and there's a chance he'll be in.
Is Zucker questionable still?
Yeah.
So he's just not getting over that as quickly as you'd like?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Is there any rhyme or reason when you bring new players into a lineup, sometimes they click right away, like in a trade, and sometimes it takes them a while to find their footing?
I've tried to solve that one over the years. I don't think anybody really has the answer. I think sometimes a player can go somewhere and instantly fit in, and then sometimes it might take a couple weeks. Sometimes it takes a couple months. So you've seen every type of scenario.
Is one of the reasons you might be going back is Greenway is a good player for Dylan Cousins and Quinn? To be on their line and to help them out?
Well, I like the balance on the lines first and foremost. The lines are kind of balanced. Cooley with JJ and Tomer has been a real good line for us. Greener with those other 2 guys was a good line. And the way McLeod has been playing with Tuck, it gave us some really good balance. And a 4th line with real good energy with, Krebs and Mel and Benny.
Thanks, Coach.
Lindy Ruff, I'm guessing that the question he got about players sometimes taking time, needing time to assimilate, is in reference to Rantanen and the Hurricanes. Not sure. But speaking of that, if you were to try to think of, like in Sabres history, an example of a player who took no time. He didn't stay on this level, but in his first game, Steve Bernier. 2 goals and an assist. He might have even had a fight in his first game. This is now 17 years ago to the day. This is the anniversary, February 27th, 2008. Big Bear, Steve Bernier, 3 points, Sabres over Nashville, 8-4. Long time ago, relatively, but a memorable night. I remember being in there for that. And, you get a new guy and he goes off in his first game. People get pretty fired up. But sadly, it didn't really keep when it came to Bernier. We'll get to the locker room next. Sabres and Hurricanes tonight. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.